Abundance is not coming, it is already here. And today, you will learn how to claim what has been yours all along. Abundance is not something you have to chase. It is not something far away, waiting for you to become worthy. It is already yours. Long before you prayed your first prayer, before you asked for money, opportunity, or security, God had already prepared your supply. Heaven's storehouse has been open to you all along, but most people live as if it were locked. They beg and plead with life to give them more, not realizing that everything they desire is already theirs by divine right. You are not trying to get abundance. You are learning to receive what has been waiting for you all this time. Florence Scovel Shinn often said that man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. If you cannot see yourself as abundant, life cannot deliver it to you. It is like a radio signal. The music is already playing, but if your dial is not tuned in, you cannot hear it. Abundance is like that. It is all around you, but fear, doubt, and wrong thinking keep you tuned to a frequency of lack. And because life mirrors your beliefs, you experience only what you expect. Imagine a wealthy person walking into a room. They are not nervous, apologetic, or desperate. They carry themselves as if they belong wherever they go, because in their spirit they already see themselves as abundant. That confidence sends a signal. Opportunities seem to appear around them. People trust them. Money flows toward them. It is not magic, it is law. Florence called it divine law, and it is always working. Your energy, your words, and your beliefs are broadcasting messages every second, and those messages are shaping your life. Abundance is not something you will one day earn. It is part of who you are. You were born into a world overflowing with beauty, resources, and opportunities. The only thing standing between you and abundance is the belief that it is far away. Today, I will show you why abundance is already yours and how to claim it. You will learn how to change your words, your thoughts, and your energy so completely that life itself begins to rearrange to match your faith. You will see that God has never been withholding from you. He has been waiting for you to step into what is already prepared. There is a spiritual truth that most people never discover, and that truth is this: abundance is not created by your effort alone. It is not a prize you earn, and it is not something that can be withheld from you. Supply is already finished, already prepared, and already waiting for you. The Bible says, "Before they call, I will answer." That means your blessings were in place before you ever asked for them. When you pray for abundance, you are not asking God to start creating something new for you. You are aligning yourself with what already exists. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that lack is an illusion, a condition born out of fear and wrong thinking, not a reflection of reality. In truth, there is no shortage of supply in God's kingdom. The same Spirit that created oceans that never run dry, skies that stretch endlessly, and forests that overflow with life, created you. There is no shortage in heaven, and there is no shortage assigned to your life. Lack is a mental pattern, not a spiritual truth. The moment you choose to believe that all your needs are already met, your life will begin to reflect that belief. Think of a gardener planting seeds. The moment the seed is in the ground, everything it needs is already present: the sun, the rain, the soil. The harvest is guaranteed if the gardener trusts the process and continues to water and wait. Your blessings are the same. Your abundance is like that seed. It is already there, hidden from your physical eyes, but alive in the unseen. You do not have to create it. You only have to water it with faith, expectation, and right action. People often think that money is the source of abundance, but Florence taught that God is the only source. Money is simply a tool, a servant, a channel through which your supply flows. When you see money as your source, you feel anxious when it is low, desperate when it disappears, and fearful when you cannot see where it will come from. But when you shift your focus to God as your unlimited supply, you find peace. You know that opportunities, ideas, and provision can come in countless ways, and you stop clinging in fear. This truth is why some people who appear to have little still live richly. They trust the law of supply. They expect doors to open, and so they do. They speak words of faith and gratitude, and their lives reflect that energy. On the other hand, Some people who appear to have wealth feel poor inside because their trust is in their bank balance, not in the infinite supply of God. This is why abundance is not measured by what you see, but by what you believe. Your life today is a reflection of the thoughts and words you have sown in the past, but the moment you choose to believe in divine supply, everything begins to shift. Florence often said that nothing stands between man and his highest ideals but doubt and fear. Your abundance is not far away. It is here, now, waiting for you to claim it by faith. Say this with conviction: I now align myself with the infinite supply of God. Every need is met. Every door is open. I walk in peace, provision, and divine timing. This is not a wish, it is law. As you speak these words and believe them, you will feel your spirit rise, your energy change, and your path open. Heaven has already said yes. Now it is your turn to receive. If abundance is already ours, why do so many people live in struggle and lack? Why does it seem like blessings come easily to some, while others work hard and still feel empty? The answer is simple but profound. Most people are not living in alignment with divine law. They are blocked by beliefs, emotions, and habits that cut them off from their rightful inheritance. It is not that God is withholding anything. It is that fear, doubt, and wrong thinking create walls that blessings cannot pass through. Florence Scovel Shinn often said that man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. Many people cannot see themselves as wealthy, favored, or blessed. They expect difficulty, so life delivers difficulty. They expect bills, debt, and struggle, so that is what they experience. Life always mirrors the images held in the mind and spoken with the tongue. If you constantly say things like, I cannot afford this, or money never stays with me, those words become commands. The universe simply agrees and gives you more of what you declare. Fear is one of the greatest blocks to abundance. Fear says, what if I never get out of this situation? What if I lose everything? What if something bad happens? Fear creates a magnetic pull for the very thing you dread. Florence taught that fear attracts failure, just as faith attracts success. If your prayers are filled with fear, they cannot produce miracles because fear cancels faith. You must choose to replace fear with trust. Every time fear rises, speak truth over it. Say, God is my supply, and His plan for me is good. Repeat it until fear loses its grip. Guilt and unworthiness are another major reason people do not receive abundance. Many feel they do not deserve wealth. They were raised to believe that wanting more is selfish, or that spiritual people must suffer to be holy. But Florence said, you must act rich to be rich. This does not mean arrogance or greed. It means walking in the confidence of someone who knows their Father is the King. Abundance is your birthright. It is not selfish to prosper. Prosperity allows you to bless others, to give freely, and to live out your calling. Poverty does not glorify God. Faith does. Another block is resentment. When you resent the success of others, you are telling the universe that wealth is something to be jealous of, not celebrated. Resentment creates bitterness in your spirit, which clouds your aura and keeps blessings away. Florence taught her students to bless those who prosper. Instead of saying, why them and not me, say, I bless their success. My blessings are on the way. This attitude clears your energy and puts you back in the flow of divine supply. Doubt is also a powerful block. Some people try affirmations and prayer, but secretly doubt that anything will change. They pray for money but prepare for struggle. Florence warned that faith and doubt cannot occupy the same space. If you ask for a gift but prepare for disappointment, you are choosing lack over abundance. Faith acts as if it already has what it asked for. If you want to see abundance, start living with expectation. Set the table for blessings. Prepare for the answer. Your action should reflect your faith, not your fear. Finally, impatience can block blessings. Divine timing is perfect, but impatience can push people into poor decisions. Some quit believing too soon, or try to force things to happen in their own strength, rather than trusting God's timing. Florence said, faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. Trust that what you have asked for is already on the way, even if you cannot see it yet. Your job is not to force the outcome, but to stay in faith and keep your energy clear. Beloved, abundance is not something to chase, it is something to align with. The only thing standing between you and your supply is your inner world. Fear, guilt, resentment, doubt, and impatience are like heavy curtains that block sunlight. The light is already there, waiting to fill your life, but you must open the curtains. Start speaking truth. Start blessing others. Start expecting good. The moment you shift your thoughts, your words, and your feelings, the law of supply begins to work for you instead of against you. The wealth you desire is not coming from somewhere far away. It is already here, waiting for you to remove the blocks and claim it by faith. Say aloud, I remove every block to my abundance. I release fear, guilt, and resentment. I trust in God's perfect supply, and I am ready to receive. Speak this daily, and you will feel your spirit lighten. You will notice opportunities and blessings showing up where there were none before. This is not magic. This is divine law, and it never fails. Your words are not empty sounds. They are commands sent out into the universe, carrying power to create or destroy. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Your word is your wand." Every time you speak, you are shaping your life, giving instructions to unseen forces that work to fulfill what you decree. This is why so many people live in lack. They speak words of fear, defeat, and limitation, and their lives reflect those words. The universe does not argue with you. It simply mirrors what you declare. If you say, I am always broke, life will confirm it. If you say, money is hard to come by, you will find it slipping through your hands. But when you speak faith-filled words, you open the floodgates of abundance. Florence often told stories of people who changed their lives by changing their declarations. One woman came to her burdened with debt. She felt hopeless, but was willing to believe. Florence told her to say daily, I am a fearless, confident person. All my debts are cleared in miraculous ways. The woman obeyed. Within weeks, unexpected income and forgiveness of debts came. Her situation turned around completely. This was not luck, it was law. Her words shifted her vibration drew solutions, and the universe rearranged itself to match her faith. Many pray for blessings, but then cancel their own prayers with negative words. They ask for abundance in the morning and say, I cannot afford this, by the afternoon. Florence said, man must prepare for the thing he has asked for when there isn't the slightest sign of it in sight. Your words are preparation. They are proof of what you believe. If you truly believe abundance is yours, you will speak as if it is already done. You will say, God is my endless supply. Everything I need comes to me easily. You will say this when your bank account is low, when bills are due, and when nothing looks possible, because you know that your words are building a future that your eyes cannot see yet. Declaration is not begging God for help. It is claiming what He has already promised. Think of a child in a family. They do not beg for food or shelter every day. They expect it because they belong. You belong to God, and your abundance is part of your inheritance. When you declare, I am rich in divine substance, you are not making something up, you are speaking truth into your reality. The more you speak it, the more your subconscious accepts it, and once your subconscious believes it, life begins to reflect it. Your declarations should always be positive, present, and filled with faith. Never say, I will be rich someday, because someday never comes. Say, I am rich now. I am blessed now. I am aligned with divine supply now. These words anchor abundance in the present moment, where all creation begins. Florence taught her students to speak these affirmations multiple times a day until their words felt natural. At first, it may feel strange to say, I am rich, when you do not see evidence of it. But faith is not about what you see, it is about what you know. Faith declares the outcome before it appears. One of the most powerful declarations Florence gave was this, I have a wonderful work in a wonderful way. I give wonderful service for wonderful pay. Thousands have repeated this affirmation and seen their careers and finances transform. Why? Because the words carry expectation, gratitude, and vision. They plant seeds in the subconscious, and the subconscious cannot tell the difference between reality and belief. It simply obeys. Beloved, you must treat your words like currency. You would not throw away your money carelessly, so do not throw away your words. Speak only what you want to see. Bless your finances. Bless your work. Bless your home. Speak life over your bank account. Say, I am a magnet for wealth. I am guided to opportunities. I give generously, and I receive abundantly. These words are not empty. They are spiritual laws being spoken into existence. Start today. Choose 3 declarations that resonate with you and speak them out loud morning and night. Write them down and carry them with you. Every time fear speaks, speak your declaration louder. Over time, your energy will change, and life will begin to reflect your words. The law cannot fail because your words are seeds, and seeds always produce a harvest. Speak wealth, speak abundance, speak faith, and you will see your reality shift to match the words you dare to declare. Visualization is not just imagination, it is a spiritual blueprint. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that every image you hold in your mind is a seed planted in the unseen, and that seed will grow into your reality if you water it with faith. She said, "Whatever man feels deeply or images clearly is impressed upon the subconscious mind and carried out in minutest detail." This means that your thoughts are not harmless. The pictures you entertain in your mind are instructions to your subconscious, and your subconscious obeys without question. If you constantly picture yourself struggling, if you see bills piling up or opportunities slipping away, you are unknowingly ordering more struggle. But if you choose to picture yourself in abundance, living in peace, giving generously, and enjoying the fullness of life, that image becomes a command for your reality to rearrange itself. Visualization is more than seeing, it is feeling. The secret to effective visualization is emotion. If you imagine wealth but feel fear, the image has no power. Your subconscious responds to feeling, not just thought. That is why fear seems to manifest so quickly, because fear is felt deeply. But you can use this principle for good. Choose to feel abundance even before it arrives. Let yourself experience the peace, gratitude, and joy of being fully provided for. Close your eyes and imagine holding a large check with your name on it, or see yourself in a beautiful home filled with light and warmth. Feel the joy of that reality. Let your body relax and your heart fill with gratitude. This is how faith speaks to the subconscious. Florence often reminded her students that faith is seeing the invisible. She said, "Faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly." When you visualize abundance, you are not pretending or daydreaming. You are creating. You are calling into the physical what already exists in the spiritual. Scripture says, "Before they call, I will answer." Your blessings already exist, but visualization tunes your energy to receive them. Think of it like tuning a radio. The music is already playing, but until you set the dial correctly, you cannot hear it. Visualization sets your dial to abundance. Here is a simple practice each morning and evening. Close your eyes for 5 minutes and picture yourself surrounded by wealth and opportunity. See your bank account full, your debts cleared, and your needs met. See yourself giving freely, helping others, and living in peace. While you hold this image, say quietly, "Thank you, God, that this is already mine by divine right." Feel the gratitude in your chest as if it has already happened. This feeling is the proof of your faith. Visualization is not about escaping reality, it is about transforming it. Florence believed that what you imagine with faith becomes fact. She wrote, "If one asks for success and prepares for failure, he will get the situation he has prepared for." Most people pray for blessings but mentally prepare for disappointment. They imagine worst-case scenarios and wonder why life feels heavy. You must reverse this. Stop rehearsing fear and start rehearsing faith. Start picturing good outcomes. Start preparing for success. Visualization also builds confidence. When you see yourself as wealthy and free in your mind, you begin to carry yourself differently in the physical world. Your posture changes, your voice changes, and people sense it. This shift in energy opens doors that logic cannot explain. It is not arrogance, it is spiritual alignment. You are living from the truth that your supply is already finished, and that energy draws opportunities to you like a magnet. Beloved, visualization is one of the greatest tools God has given you. Use it daily. See what you want as if it already is. Feel the joy of answered prayer. Walk with the confidence of someone who already possesses their dream. As you do, you will notice coincidences, open doors, and unexpected provision appearing in your life. This is not luck, it is law. Say now, "I see abundance everywhere. I feel the joy of my answered prayer. I am aligned with divine supply, and all that is mine flows to me now. Speak these words, hold these images, and let your faith be the evidence of what is already yours. Your mind is the blueprint. Your faith is the builder, and your life will soon reflect the pictures you dare to create. Faith is not only believing, it is acting as though what you have prayed for is already done. Florence Scovel Shinn said that faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. Many people wait for a sign, a miracle, or a perfect moment before they step out, but faith steps out first. Faith is action in motion. It is moving forward even when your eyes see no evidence. It is writing the check, making the call, applying for the opportunity, or starting the business because you trust that God's supply will meet you as you go. Inspired action is different from striving. Striving comes from fear and desperation. Inspired action is calm, confident, and led by the Spirit. Florence taught that guidance is always available to those who listen. She said, "Infinite Spirit is never late. If you are quiet enough to listen, you will feel a nudge, a sense of direction, or a sudden idea. That is God's way of opening doors." Wealth is not just about affirmations. It is also about obedience to these inner promptings. Divine timing is perfect. We live in a world where people want everything instantly, but the universe operates on order. A farmer does not plant seeds in the morning and expect a harvest at night. He waters, waits, and trusts. The harvest comes because he knows the process cannot fail. In the same way, when you take steps in faith, even if you do not see immediate results, you must trust the process. The supply is already there, but it unfolds in perfect timing. Florence often told her students that delays are not denials, they are divine preparation. What is yours cannot be taken, and it cannot miss you. Action demonstrates faith. You can speak affirmations all day, but if your actions contradict your words, you are canceling your prayer. For example, you may declare, "I am rich in divine supply," but if you hoard every dollar out of fear, your actions are saying, "I do not believe there will be more." Faith is expressed in generosity, gratitude, and courage. Even small steps can open the door for miracles. Maybe it is blessing someone with a small gift, signing up for a class that will help you grow, or stepping into a business idea you have been afraid to try. Inspired action tells the universe you are serious, and the universe responds. Many people get discouraged when their prayers are not answered instantly, but Florence reminded her students that faith holds steady. She told a story of a woman who desperately needed money. Instead of panicking, the woman declared, "God is my immediate supply, and what is mine comes to me now." She repeated this with conviction, even when her situation looked worse. Soon, unexpected provision arrived in perfect timing. Her miracle was not delayed. It came exactly when she was ready to handle it. That is divine timing. When you combine faith with action, you unlock the flow of abundance. You stop waiting for a miracle to appear and start walking toward it. Each step you take strengthens your confidence and builds momentum. Even if you do not see the full picture, trust that God does. Inspired action is like a light shining on the next step, not the entire staircase. Take the step you see, and the next one will appear. Another key to divine timing is patience without fear. Many people wait with anxiety, constantly checking to see if their blessing has arrived. But true faith waits in peace. Florence said, "Infinite Spirit has a way prepared for me, and I will follow it." Trust that everything you desire is already arranged, and your job is to stay aligned, grateful, and open. Beloved, understand this: miracles happen when faith and action meet. You are not waiting for abundance to fall out of the sky. It is already here, and your bold steps are the evidence that you believe it. Do not fear mistakes. Every step you take in faith moves you closer to your manifestation. Listen for divine guidance, act on it, and trust that the timing will be perfect. What belongs to you cannot be delayed, stolen, or lost. Say this aloud: I walk in faith, I act in courage, and I trust in perfect timing. The wealth I desire is already mine, and I am guided to it step by step. Let these words guide your actions today. Every bold move you make is a declaration of trust, and trust is the magnet that draws abundance. You now hold the truth that most of the world has never been taught. Abundance is not something you chase, it is something you claim. You are not waiting for God to decide if you are worthy. He already decided. You were created in His image, and your life was designed for overflow, not for struggle. Poverty is not a spiritual badge of honor, it is a misunderstanding of who you are. You were born into a kingdom of infinite supply, and that supply has been waiting for you all along. Throughout this message, you have seen the truth revealed. You now understand that supply is already finished, that lack is a lie created by fear, and that faith is the bridge between what you see and what is already yours. You know now that your words are not idle. They are laws in motion. Your tongue can open doors or close them. Every declaration you make writes the script of your future. You have learned that visualization is not daydreaming, but spiritual creation. What you picture and feel with faith becomes fact. You know that fear, guilt, resentment, and doubt are chains that block the flow of blessings, but forgiveness, trust, and gratitude are keys that set you free. You have learned that giving is never loss, but multiplication, and that inspired action in divine timing brings miracles to your doorstep. Beloved, this is your moment to claim what is already yours. No more hoping, no more waiting, no more wondering if it will happen. It is already done. You are not begging life for scraps, you are standing in your inheritance. When a king's child comes home, they do not knock at the gate in fear. They walk in boldly because they belong. Today, I invite you to walk boldly into your blessings. Take a deep breath. Put your hand over your heart. Speak this decree with confidence and authority, and let it settle deep into your spirit. I am a child of the King. I live in a kingdom of abundance. All that is mine by divine right flows to me, now in perfect timing and under grace. I release fear, I release doubt, I release every block to my blessings. I forgive myself and all others, and I choose peace. My words are powerful, my faith is strong, and my vision is clear. I give freely, I receive joyfully, and I overflow with blessings. I call forth opportunities, wealth, and miracles today. My path is prepared, my supply is secure, and my future is bright. I am rich in wisdom, rich in favor, and rich in resources. From this day forward, I live as one who is already blessed. I claim it, I believe it, I receive it. And so it is. Let this be your daily decree. Speak it in the morning before your day begins. Speak it at night as you fall asleep. Write it down and place it where you can see it. These words are not empty. They are a spiritual key that unlocks the treasure house of heaven. The law of supply is unchanging. God has already said yes. Your faith, your words, and your action bring that yes into reality. Do not live another day as if you are waiting for permission to prosper. You already have permission. You already have the inheritance. From this moment, start walking, talking, and thinking like a person who knows they are wealthy, favored, and unstoppable. Speak abundance, expect abundance, and live with open hands and a grateful heart. Watch how life begins to rearrange itself to reflect this truth. You are no longer a seeker of abundance. You are a carrier of it. Everywhere you go, your presence will shift rooms, attract opportunities, and bring peace. People will see something different in you, and that something is the light of faith, the glow of confidence, and the energy of abundance. Say these words one last time. I am surrounded by divine supply. I am blessed beyond measure. I receive now all that is mine. This is truth, and this truth will never fail.
There is an invisible power at work in every spoken word, a creative force that shapes and molds the very substance of our lives. Words are not idle things, they are vibrational currents that go out into the ethers, gathering energy, drawing to themselves the likeness of their utterance. Every word is a decree, a wand we hold aloft, either conjuring beauty and abundance or summoning delay and despair. We may not always see the results at once, but rest assured, the word is never lost. It is a seed, and as surely as spring follows winter, it bears fruit after its kind. Your word is your wand. Speak it in faith, and the universe bends to accommodate its decree. Speak in fear or doubt, and that too will take form. For the law is impersonal. It only knows to return that which has been sent out. The law of the spoken word is like the law of sowing and reaping. Just as the farmer does not question whether the seed will sprout, so must we not question whether the word shall manifest. We must simply know it is done. Let us think of the tongue not as a mere instrument of conversation, but as a tool of manifestation. When we say, I can, or I am blessed, we set into motion unseen forces that bring those affirmations into being. But when we say, I can't, or nothing ever works for me, we cast a shadow, a cloud of limitation, that returns to us in our outer affairs. The universe listens not only to what is said in solemn prayer, but to every idle word, every whispered doubt, every casual complaint. The one who understands the power of the word guards their speech as they would a treasure chest. They do not speak of lack, illness, betrayal, or failure, for to speak of these things is to invite them. Instead, they choose words that give life. I am divine substance. I walk in peace. All that is mine by divine right now rushes to me under grace. These are not mere affirmations. They are spells of truth spoken into the great cosmic ear, which hears and answers. Let your word be sure. Let it be calm, confident, and charged with the authority of divine law. There is no magic greater than faith joined with speech. Say, and do not doubt. Speak, and do not look back. Your word is not a feather blown by the wind. It is a sword of light, a wand of power. Use it wisely, and it shall open doors where there were only walls. Use it in love, and it shall heal where there was pain. Use it in joy, and it shall multiply every good and perfect gift. You hold the wand in your hand. Use it now. Speak your world into being. Speak health, wealth, peace, and perfect self-expression. Words are creative forces that shape reality. This is not a poetic metaphor, nor is it merely an idea meant to inspire. It is a spiritual law, immutable and exact. Every word spoken holds within it the seed of creation, a nucleus of energy that begins to shape the outer world from the moment it leaves your lips. The spoken word is not empty, it carries vibration, intention, and power. When you speak, you are not simply communicating, you are constructing. Each syllable builds, molds, and directs the invisible forces that govern form, matter, and experience. Just as the architect's blueprint precedes the building, so do your words blueprint the structure of your life. The spiritual realm is governed by divine law, and one of the highest laws is that of vibration and correspondence. What you put out through thought and word must return to you in form. You speak the word, and the substance begins to move. It is law, and the law is never mocked. When you say, I am, what follows must become your reality, for I am is the name of divine being. And whatever you attach to it becomes infused with the creative energy of the universal spirit. Say, I am strong, and strength begins to shape itself in your experience. Say, I am weak, and weakness begins to solidify. Words are not bound by time or distance. They go forth clothed in energy and return clothed in manifestation. When you speak in fear and anger, or in complaint, you release a pattern, and that pattern takes root in the invisible and eventually blossoms into the visible. The universe, so finely attuned to vibration, does not discern sarcasm, exaggeration, or even jest. It only hears the frequency. When you speak words of defeat, even casually, they act as seeds planted in the garden of your life, and the soil of spirit is always fertile. Whatever you sow, you shall surely reap. Every word is a decree. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are constantly issuing orders to the infinite intelligence that surrounds you. The creative substance of the universe stands at the ready, waiting for direction. If you say, I never have enough, the law responds, very well, you shall not. If you say, I am blessed and abundant, the same law answers, so be it. The creative law is always listening, always shaping, always responding. It is obedient to your speech because your speech is the outward expression of your inner belief. You may think your words are harmless if you don't really mean them. But the law does not deal in half beliefs or partial intentions. It only knows the command issued and fulfills it without hesitation. The words you use daily form the script of your experience. You may think it's the big declarations, the moments of solemn prayer, or deep spiritual practice that matter most. But it is the habitual words, the ones spoken over coffee, during idle conversation, in moments of boredom or frustration, that carry immense power. This always happens to me, becomes a curse you place upon yourself. I'm just unlucky, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. These are not harmless observations, they are declarations of truth to the universal mirror. And the mirror never lies. It simply reflects. Every phrase you speak is charged with your belief, your emotion, your expectation. That is why those who speak with faith see their desires made manifest, and those who speak with fear see their fears come alive. The universe is impartial. It plays no favorites. It responds to the energy and intention of your words. If you speak with authority and clarity, knowing your spiritual power, you activate the divine law of increase. If you speak with hesitation and self-doubt, you attract confusion and lack. There is no in-between. The law is exact, like mathematics. 2 + 2 is always 4, and the word you send out always returns multiplied. You may notice how those who guard their speech often lead lives of peace and prosperity, while those who are careless with their words experience repeated turmoil. This is no accident. It is the result of spiritual law in action. To say, "I can't afford that," is not just a factual statement. It is an invocation of lack. It seals the idea in consciousness and sets the law into motion. If instead you say, "I choose not to spend on that right now, but my supply is unlimited," you leave the door open for the divine flow to enter. You align your words with truth rather than appearances. For appearances are fleeting, but the word is eternal. You may wonder how words can hold such influence, how something so intangible could shape something as solid as reality. But remember, all that is visible was once invisible. The world was spoken into being. The word preceded creation. In the beginning, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That is not ancient myth. It is a spiritual principle. The spoken word is the first cause, the divine spark that ignites the creative process. Your life is the echo of every word you have spoken in faith or in fear. There is a vibratory field surrounding you at all times, and your words either elevate it or cloud it. When you say, "Everything works together for my good," you send out a wave of harmony that begins to shape events in your favor. When you say, "Nothing ever goes right," you set up an energetic field of disorder, and life responds accordingly. The spoken word is like a tuning fork. It sets the tone for everything that follows. If your tone is discordant, your experience will reflect that. If your tone is harmonious, the outer world must follow suit. Speech is the wand, the instrument through which spiritual power flows into the material realm. It is not the loudness or eloquence of the word that determines its power, but the belief behind it. A whispered word of truth, spoken in faith, has more creative power than 1,000 shouted affirmations spoken in doubt. That is why those who understand the law choose their words with precision. They do not repeat the appearances of the world. They speak the truth of spirit. They do not say, "I am sick," even when the body is unwell. They say, "Divine health flows through me now." They do not say, "I am lost," even when the way is unclear. They say, "Divine guidance lights my path." Every word spoken is a link in the chain of cause and effect. You cannot speak failure and expect success. You cannot speak hatred and expect peace. You cannot speak fear and expect freedom. The outer world will always correspond to the inner speech. What you speak in the silence of your own mind carries the same weight as what you declare aloud. That is why inner dialogue must be purified. The quiet mutterings of your thoughts are just as powerful as the spoken decree. Both shape, both call forth, both create. The power of your word is not limited to yourself. It touches others. When you speak healing over someone, that healing begins to move. When you speak forgiveness, bridges are mended. When you speak encouragement, hope is born. Your words are creative not only in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. Speak only what you want to see grow. Speak life. Speak truth. Speak love. Speak with the certainty that your words have gone forth and are now preparing the way before you. Speak not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. Every spoken word is a decree to the universe. This is not symbolic language, it is spiritual fact. When you speak, you do not merely make sounds in the air, you issue commands to the invisible forces that shape your experience. The universe is governed by law, and one of its most powerful laws is the law of declaration. A decree is not a request, nor is it a wish. A decree is an assertion made with the expectation of fulfillment. When a word is spoken in faith and conviction, it is as a king or queen issuing a royal command. The energy moves, the elements align, and the manifestation begins. There is no hesitation in divine response, for the word carries the seed of action, and that action begins to unfold immediately in the unseen realm. People often underestimate the weight of their speech, believing words to be fleeting or harmless. But in spiritual truth, every word carries the essence of law, and every statement you make is a pronouncement that must seek form. When you say, "I am successful," it is not just an affirmation. It is a royal decree backed by the authority of divine law. The universe hears it and begins assembling the resources, opportunities, and alignments necessary to fulfill that command. It is not your job to force the outcome. It is only your task to declare with unwavering certainty. What follows is governed by a law more ancient and exact than any human rule. Your words do not float idly into space. They are encoded with your intention, colored by your emotion, and carried upon the breath of spirit. The decree may be spoken aloud or silently formed within, but once released, it goes forth with purpose. The spoken word sets the vibratory tone of your reality. What you decree becomes your law. The moment you say, "I can't do this," you have issued a law over your experience. The energies that might have brought success are now redirected, hindered by the law you yourself have spoken. On the other hand, when you say, "Everything I need comes to me with ease and grace," the universe responds with opportunities, ideas, and favor, because you have opened the channel with your decree. There is no such thing as a neutral word. Each word is either working for you or against you. Each word affirms something. When you declare what you fear, you reinforce its hold on your life. When you declare what you desire in alignment with divine truth, you draw it near. Decrees are not bound by circumstance. They do not rely on present evidence. They override appearances. When you decree, "I walk in divine protection," even in the midst of danger, you set in motion unseen forces that adjust and arrange outcomes in your favor. When you say, "I live in divine supply," even while bills are unpaid, you align with a higher truth that eventually supersedes the temporary appearance of lack. The power of decree lies in its alignment with spiritual authority. You are not merely a passive being hoping for good fortune. You are a divine expression, clothed in human form, endowed with the power to speak the word. That word carries the vibration of your source. When you decree from that awareness, your word is backed by the full force of the divine. The word becomes law in your world. Not law as man makes it, subject to change or failure, but spiritual law, perfect and irreversible once it is released in faith. Many people pray and wait, hoping that something external will shift before they believe in the result. But true decree comes before evidence. It speaks from the mountain, not from the valley. It declares the end from the beginning. When you decree a thing, you are not negotiating with life. You are setting its terms. You are announcing what is already true in the spiritual realm and inviting it to express in the material. There is no room for wavering, no tolerance for contradiction. A divided decree is powerless. But a decree spoken in pure faith without doubt, backed by conviction, moves mountains. It is important to understand that even casual phrases, often spoken without thought, act as decrees. When you say, "I always get sick this time of year," you have made a law for your body to obey. When you say, "Nothing ever works out for me," the universe hears your decree and fulfills it, for that is the law. The word you speak becomes your experience. That is why spiritual mastery requires vigilant awareness of speech. Those who are aware of the law do not speak of limitation, even when it appears. They do not decree poverty, even when the wallet is empty. They do not declare failure, even when plans collapse. They speak only truth, knowing that the truth spoken with faith shall override every false appearance. To decree is not to beg, it is not to plead. It is to speak with the authority of one who knows their place in the divine order. It is to say, I now receive my perfect work, and to know that the divine law of right action is already at work, even if no evidence yet appears. It is to say, I am healed, while the symptoms still persist, trusting that the word has gone forth and is now working in the invisible. The decree plants the seed. The seed grows in silence beneath the surface and eventually breaks into form. But without the decree, the seed is never planted. Those who understand this law do not waste words. They do not declare what they do not wish to receive. They do not use their divine authority to summon what they fear. They are disciplined in speech, deliberate in declaration, and powerful in their practice. Their words are simple, sure, and steeped in spiritual truth. They do not say, I hope I will succeed. They say, I now succeed by divine law. They do not say, I wish things would change. They say, all that is mine by divine right now comes to me. They do not argue with appearances, for appearances are subject to change. They decree what is spiritually true, and the world reshapes itself around that truth. When you begin to live as one who knows that every word is a decree, your language transforms. You no longer speak of yourself as a victim, for the decree of victimhood creates bondage. You no longer describe your conditions as fixed, for the decree of limitation strengthens chains. You speak with clarity, with purpose, and with reverence for the power you hold. You say, I am a channel of divine wisdom, and wisdom begins to unfold. You say, I am led by infinite intelligence, and guidance arrives. You say, everything I touch is blessed, and blessing follows. This is not superstition or optimism, it is law. Every word decreed in alignment with truth is like a signature upon a spiritual contract. It binds the invisible forces to your command. These forces do not question your worthiness, nor do they wait for your perfection. They only respond to the decree. The moment it is spoken, it is done in the higher realm. Time may pass before the manifestation appears, but the work is already complete in spirit. Your decree is the beginning of all things. Without it, the field remains dormant. With it, creation begins. Those who decree with power do so with calm confidence. They are not loud, but they are firm. They do not waver, but they are flexible in method. They do not manipulate, but they command with love. They understand that the universe responds not to noise, but to vibration. The decree, spoken from inner knowing, is the highest vibration. It aligns with the very word by which the worlds were formed. When you say, let there be, and you believe, then there is. It is not by effort, but by decree. Not by striving, but by speaking. Not by chasing, but by declaring. The decree is the seed of divine order, and when it is planted in faith, it must bear fruit. Positive speech aligns with divine law and manifests blessings. This is not merely an ideal or a suggestion. It is the very nature of spiritual truth in action. When your words are filled with faith, hope, love, and expectancy, they resonate with the highest frequencies of the universe. These high vibrations do not float aimlessly. They are keys that unlock spiritual gates, channels through which unseen good flows into form. Divine law is always working, always ready to bring into manifestation whatever has been impressed upon it with clarity, consistency, and conviction. The universe does not resist goodness, it longs to deliver it. But it does so through the avenues of your own consciousness, and speech is one of the most direct and potent of those avenues. Words are not inert. They are living expressions of belief. A word spoken in alignment with divine law acts as a command, a directive to spiritual substance, shaping the formless into form, the invisible into visibility. When you say, I am guided, and you believe it, you align yourself with the law of divine guidance. The moment you affirm it, you tune your frequency to the very guidance you seek, and events, ideas, and insights begin to arrive as if by miracle. But it is not a miracle, it is law. The universe has no resistance to helping you. It is waiting only for your instruction, and that instruction is issued most powerfully through positive, faithful, and purposeful speech. There is a current of life, love, and intelligence that flows through all things, and when your words harmonize with that current, you experience flow, peace, and right results. When you declare, "I am abundant," "I am at peace," or "all things are working together for my good," you are not simply repeating phrases, you are making spiritual alignments. You are taking the truth of your being and declaring it into your world. And once spoken, the word cannot return void. It must begin to draw unto itself the elements that match its nature. Divine law, being perfect, cannot misinterpret or ignore a clear, positive command. It responds with mathematical accuracy to the energy, tone, and intention behind every word. Positive speech is not mere optimism, nor is it about denying facts. It is about speaking the higher truth even in the presence of lower appearances. When you look upon lack but declare supply, you invoke the law of abundance. When you feel fear but declare faith, you activate the law of protection. When you see delay and say, "Divine timing is perfect," you align with the rhythm of spirit, which is never early and never late. The words you speak do not reflect your circumstances, they shape them. That is the difference between reaction and creation. Those who understand divine law speak what they desire to see, not what they currently observe. The appearance is not the final word. The decree, when aligned with divine truth, overrides and transforms what seems to be. Speech infused with faith is like a seed planted in fertile soil. It may not bear fruit instantly, but the process begins the moment it is planted. When you say, "My needs are met in divine order," you open a channel. You do not need to know how it will happen. That is not your work. Your work is to speak in alignment with the truth of the universe. That you live in a spiritual system where supply is infinite, health is natural, peace is the baseline, and joy is your birthright. Every word you speak in harmony with this truth acts as a builder, a bridge between the invisible and the visible. The moment the positive word is spoken, the bridge begins to form. There is no effort in divine law. The power is not in shouting or in volume but in spiritual alignment. A quiet word spoken with deep conviction carries more weight than many words spoken in doubt. When you say, "I trust the process of life," you are not just calming your mind. You are activating the law of right unfolding. The words we choose form our mental and spiritual environment, and from that environment comes every experience we encounter. Positive words enrich the soil of your consciousness. They keep the atmosphere of your mind clear, vibrant, receptive. They invite only what matches that frequency. You cannot speak peace and attract conflict. You cannot speak abundance and invite poverty. The law is exact. One of the greatest powers of positive speech is its ability to redirect the energy of a moment. You may be surrounded by negativity, but the moment you choose to speak truth, "I am not moved by appearances, I am grounded in spirit," you shift the dynamic. Your word becomes the new vibration in the room. You do not need to force others to agree or change. You simply need to stand in your own spiritual authority and declare what is true for you. Divine law does not require group consensus. It responds to the individual who speaks in alignment with truth. The moment you speak a word that aligns with divine law, you rise above the turbulence of the world and claim your rightful place as a co-creator with infinite intelligence. It is not enough to think positively while speaking carelessly. Speech is the extension of thought into the outer world. If your thoughts are hopeful but your words are filled with complaint, contradiction occurs. And contradiction blocks flow. That is why the wise soul is watchful of their words. They do not speak just to fill silence. They do not repeat the fears of the world. They do not joke about things they would not want to experience. Every word is sacred. Every phrase is formative. To say, "I don't know what I'm doing," or "things always go wrong for me," is to plant seeds of confusion and delay. But to say, "I am learning and guided," is to plant seeds of clarity and support. The difference between those two sentences is not just in tone, it is in energetic impact. One sets divine law in motion toward growth, the other toward obstruction. Even in difficulty, positive speech is possible and powerful. You do not need to lie or pretend. You can acknowledge the challenge while still affirming divine truth. This is hard, but I am stronger than this. I feel afraid, but I know I am never alone. These are not denials, they are declarations of deeper reality. Positive speech does not ignore life, it infuses life with light. It brings the vibration of spirit into the situation and invites a higher outcome. The words you speak become the containers through which the divine pours itself into your experience. There is a tone to truth, a sound to spiritual alignment, and when your words match that tone, something begins to happen. People feel it. You feel it. Circumstances begin to bend and rearrange. Doors open. Resistance fades. Guidance flows. The outer world cannot help but respond to the inner decree. For divine law is not bound by the past. It is not restricted by what has come before. It is activated in the now, by the words spoken now, in faith now. Positive speech is the vehicle through which that activation occurs. Speak not from fear of what is, but from faith in what can be. Speak from the consciousness of already having. Speak from the knowing that divine law has no shortage, no illness, no failure in it. Your words should not reflect the world. They should reflect the divine design. When you align your speech with that higher pattern, you draw its qualities into your experience. Love, abundance, wisdom, and peace begin to show up, not because you chased them, but because you invited them with the right word. The speech you practice becomes the life you live. Every positive word you speak is a building block in the structure of your spiritual house. Negative words invite limitation and delay. This is not superstition, nor is it a gentle warning. It is a spiritual fact, precise and unavoidable. Every word carries vibration, and negative speech lowers the frequency of your personal energy field. When your vibration lowers, the divine flow of life slows, obstructed by the density of fear, doubt, resentment, and complaint. Words are not isolated expressions, they are forces. They plant seeds in the invisible soil of consciousness, and those seeds must grow after their kind. You cannot speak defeat and expect victory. You cannot declare worry and expect peace. The law is exact, and what you speak into the ethers will return, multiplied and magnified, clothed in form and experience. Each time you say, "I can't," you place a brick in the wall between yourself and your good. Each time you utter, "It's too late for me," you close a door that divine wisdom would have opened. Every complaint, every sarcastic remark, every idle repetition of negative expectation becomes part of the architecture of your life. People often think they're just expressing feelings or telling the truth about their circumstances, but in truth, they are writing the script of what will come next. When you speak of lack, the law of supply begins to retreat. When you speak of sickness, the law of wholeness begins to pause. Not because the divine punishes, but because your word has set a different direction, one that no longer aligns with the flow of good. The universe is obedient, not reactive. It does not decide whether you deserve what you say. It simply mirrors it. It does not argue with your declarations. If you insist, "Nothing ever works out for me," it sends situations that match that vibration. If you say, "People can't be trusted," it arranges encounters to confirm your belief. Your word is law unto your life, and negative speech is a misuse of that law. It is not just dangerous in moments of intensity, it is damaging in the small, habitual utterances that pass beneath your awareness. These are the daily statements that become the framework of your inner world and, eventually, your outer one. Most people are unconscious of how often they speak against themselves. "I always forget things. I'm terrible with money. This is just my luck." These phrases may seem harmless, but they are not. They are subtle decrees, repeated until they form grooves in consciousness. Once those grooves are deep enough, they direct energy, experience, and results. You become what you continually declare. You limit your progress not because of fate or karma, but because you have woven a web of words that keeps you bound. You delay your good, not because it isn't ready, but because your language has barred its arrival. Negative words not only affect your own vibration, they affect the atmosphere around you. The energy of your speech enters your home, your workplace, your relationships. If you speak in anger, that vibration lingers. If you speak in fear, it spreads. You may walk into a room and feel heaviness without knowing why. Often, it is the residue of negative speech. The atmosphere becomes thick with doubt, judgment, or complaint, and everyone in it feels the effect. You carry the power to shift the energy wherever you are, simply through your words. But when you use that power to curse, criticize, or declare what you do not want, you reinforce the very conditions you are trying to escape. Many people unknowingly reinforce their limitations by rehearsing them aloud. They repeat their grievances, explain their obstacles, describe their symptoms, and tell stories of what went wrong. Each time they do, they imprint those images more deeply into their subconscious mind. The subconscious does not understand fiction or exaggeration. It takes everything as fact. If you say it enough, the subconscious accepts it as your chosen reality. It begins to guide your thoughts, choices, and reactions to match the words you've given it. Negative speech is not merely expressive, it is formative. It forms your expectations, and your expectations shape your results. To say, "I'm so tired of struggling," may feel like a release in the moment, but it becomes a magnet for more struggle. To say, "No one ever appreciates me," might feel justified, but it locks you into the role of the unappreciated. Even self-deprecating humor, if repeated often, conditions the mind to believe in your smallness. Words matter more than we know. They cast spells, and the most dangerous spells are the ones we cast on ourselves without realizing. If you wouldn't want it to manifest, don't speak it. If you wouldn't want to live it, don't declare it. There is a rhythm to speech, and negative words create dissonance in that rhythm. They jar the flow of intuitive guidance. They cloud the clarity that comes from spiritual alignment. When your speech is filled with complaint, sarcasm, and fear, your inner guidance system becomes distorted. You cannot hear the whispers of wisdom in a storm of verbal chaos. Divine ideas do not flow through minds cluttered with constant negativity. The still, small voice is often drowned out by the noise of repeated negative declarations. Your words can either open the channel to higher knowing or block it entirely. People often ask why their prayers go unanswered, or why their affirmations don't seem to work. The answer is frequently found in the rest of their speech. They may affirm good in one moment and cancel it with complaint the next. They say, "I am blessed," but then they say, "I don't know how I'll ever get out of this mess." They declare health in the morning and speak of illness all afternoon. Divine law responds to the total vibration, not just isolated statements. Your dominant tone matters. If negative speech is more frequent than positive declaration, the vibration of limitation wins out, and the results will reflect that imbalance. It is not about pretending nothing is wrong. It is about choosing not to give power to what you do not want. Acknowledge facts, but speak truth. The fact may be that your finances are low, but the truth is that divine supply is limitless. The fact may be that the body feels pain, but the truth is that divine health is always present. When you speak the negative fact as if it is the ultimate reality, you deny the higher law that could have transformed it. You give your authority to the condition instead of the creator. Words are tools, and with them, you either build or break. When you notice negative speech in yourself, it is not a reason for guilt, it is a call to awareness. Each time you catch yourself saying something that invites limitation or delay, you have the opportunity to replace it with something better. "I don't see the way right now, but I know divine order is guiding me. This feels heavy, but I trust that something higher is unfolding." These replacements shift your frequency immediately. They don't deny your feelings, they elevate them. They redirect your inner compass toward truth. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. The negative patterns begin to dissolve not by force, but by disuse. Your word has creative power whether you believe in it or not. The law does not require your awareness to function, it simply responds. But when you do become aware, you step into conscious participation. You no longer drift on the sea of unconscious speech. You begin to steer with intention. Negative words lose their appeal because you understand their cost. You become a guardian of your own vibration, and speech becomes your first line of alignment. The more you practice watching your words, the more clearly you see their connection to your experiences. The more you choose truth over reaction, the more quickly divine law responds in your favor. Your word is a powerful spiritual tool. Use it with faith and intention. This is not poetic sentiment or vague encouragement. It is an absolute spiritual truth that governs the invisible mechanisms of life. The word, when spoken from a place of conscious awareness, is more than sound. It is a directive, a vibrational command issued to the universe. The universe does not respond to your effort, your anxiety, or your confusion. It responds to the clarity and authority of your word. This is the creative faculty through which all manifestation begins. It is not the volume of your voice, but the certainty behind your decree that moves the invisible forces into visible expression. Faith is the power behind the word, and intention is the direction. Without faith, the word falls flat. Without intention, it lacks aim. To use your word as a spiritual tool is to know that what you say sets a chain of cause into motion. That cause begins in the unseen, where substance, formless and obedient, waits to take shape. Every time you speak with intention, the substance begins to move toward form. It does not question you, it follows you. The moment you declare, "I am guided," the guidance is activated. When you affirm, "I am provided for," the law of supply begins its work. Your part is not to manage how the supply appears, but to maintain the vibration that matches your declaration. Faith in your word is the container that holds the outcome. When the word is released with conviction, the result is inevitable. It must unfold, not by chance, but by spiritual law. Your word is sacred. It is not something to be thrown into casual or unconscious use. To speak without intention is to waste your greatest power. Many people speak habitually, repeating old patterns, fears, and doubts, without realizing they are chiseling their future in stone. But when you begin to speak with awareness, knowing that your word sets the tone and pace of your life, you become a conscious co-creator. You begin to understand that every declaration is a seed, every phrase a mold into which divine substance is poured. You no longer say, "I'm just saying," or "I didn't mean it," because you realize that every word is a vessel, and every vessel must be filled. The most powerful words are those aligned with truth, truth that transcends conditions, appearances, and temporary facts. The moment you speak truth, such as "I am whole," even if your body feels broken, you elevate your vibration to match the divine blueprint. That vibration attracts healing, restoration, and strength. It may not happen in an instant, but it has begun. The word has gone forth and cannot return void. It must accomplish what it was sent to do, but it must be sustained by faith. If you speak truth one moment and contradict it the next, you cancel the energy. The power of the word is continuous when backed by belief. Intention gives it direction, faith gives it life. To use your word as a spiritual tool also means choosing silence when needed. Not every thought needs expression, not every emotion needs to be voiced. Sometimes restraint is the most powerful use of the word. If your speech cannot build, heal, affirm, or uplift, it may be better left unspoken. This is not suppression, but discipline. It is the understanding that words once released cannot be recalled. They create impressions in your consciousness and in the consciousness of others. When you speak with intention, you speak from alignment, not reaction. You pause to feel whether your word is coming from love or from fear. You measure your speech not by its cleverness, but by its spiritual accuracy. The word is also a healing tool. You can speak life into the sick, courage into the weary, hope into the hopeless. When someone says, "I don't know what to do," and you answer, "You are guided," and the way is made clear, you are not just offering comfort. You are issuing a decree into the field of their experience. You are declaring truth on their behalf, and that truth begins to move. The word of one who speaks in faith can lift an atmosphere, shift a mood, break through despair. Your word, when spoken with intention, becomes a channel for divine power. You do not need to convince anyone. You only need to speak what is true. Using your word as a tool also involves affirming what is already spiritually yours. You do not beg the universe to give you what you lack. You affirm that it is already present in essence. I am love. I am supported. I am prosperous. These are not hopes. They are recognitions. They declare what is true in the unseen, inviting it to become visible. Intention gives your words shape. It defines the form your faith will take. If you speak without clear desire, your word has no container. It may scatter, producing fragments of experience, but not the full expression you seek. That is why clarity of intention is vital. Know what you want. Speak it as already yours. Release the word and trust the law. Your word is also a weapon, not against others, but against fear, doubt, and illusion. When thoughts of failure arise, the spoken word can cut through them like light. I am victorious. I walk in faith. I am upheld by divine strength. These declarations shift your consciousness. They remind your subconscious mind of what is true. The subconscious obeys repetition. It cannot resist a consistent pattern. When you speak truth again and again, with intention and faith, the inner programming begins to change. Old beliefs dissolve, and new realities take root. You reshape yourself through the word. The outer life always follows the inner decree. Speaking with intention also requires that you take responsibility for what you say. If you declare lack, you must recognize that you have summoned lack. If you affirm delay, you have sent delay forward. Responsibility is not blame, it is power. When you own your words, you reclaim the authority that created them. You are not a victim of your conditions. You are the speaker, the author, the architect. If you do not like the current results, you can change the script. Begin again. Speak anew. Speak with purpose. Every moment is a chance to recalibrate, to release the old declarations and form new ones. The past has no hold if the present word is stronger. Even in silence, the word continues its work. When you speak a thing in faith and then hold your peace, trusting that the law has received your instruction, you allow divine order to operate freely. Doubt often tries to interfere with silence, urging you to repeat the command in desperation. But faith is silent after the word is spoken. It knows the seed is planted. It waits in peace, not in anxiety. This is the final layer of using your word with power, not only speaking it with intention and clarity, but resting in the assurance that it is done. You hold the word. You carry within you the ability to declare, to transform, to elevate, and to create. It is not necessary to have perfect circumstances to speak a perfect word. The word itself begins the transformation. When you align with divine truth and speak from that center, the word becomes your staff, your shield, your light, your guide. You do not need to know the entire path. You only need to declare the next step with faith. I am guided. I am ready. I am enough. These are not just ideas, they are tools in your spiritual toolbox. They are instruments through which the unseen becomes seen, the unrealized becomes manifest, the desired becomes the experienced. Your word, spoken in alignment, is the beginning of all things. Friends, life is not the slow march that we are taught to believe it is. Life is quicksilver, alive, vibrant, and ever-shifting. At any moment, in the twinkling of an eye, what you thought was set in stone may dissolve, and what you thought was impossible may appear before you with divine precision. The outer world may seem bound by time and process, but the inner world, the true world, knows only instant transformation. The mind that is steeped in doubt says, it will take years for things to change. It will take struggle and striving to bring my good to me. But the awakened heart whispers, it can be done in an instant. For the infinite does not need time. Time is the servant of the infinite. The moment you align yourself with the higher law of harmony, the moment you turn the key in the lock of your own thought, a door swings open that was always waiting for you. Life is not waiting on circumstances, life is waiting on you. It is waiting on your permission. Every miracle waits for a willing channel, and every answered prayer waits for the mind that dares to believe. Many hold tightly to their limitations, clutching fear like a cloak, saying, "I am bound, I am stuck, I am powerless." Yet the moment you let go of that garment of fear, even for a breath, the light of truth rushes in, and the chains fall away. Life can change in an instant if you let it. If you let go of the thought that insists change must be hard, or long, or beyond your reach. The unseen laws are simple: what you speak, you shape; what you expect, you invite; what you allow, you live. The universe is never resisting you, only echoing you. Like a mirror, it reflects the images you dare to hold before it. Consider that the wealth you seek, the health you long for, the love you desire, are not traveling toward you from afar. They are already here, vibrating at the door of your consciousness, waiting for your recognition. The instant you see with new eyes, the instant you affirm with conviction, "This is mine by divine right," the universe rearranges itself in your favor. We are told that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance is not far off, it is immediate. It does not need years to mature. It needs only one moment of fearless acceptance. The floodgates of good open not by effort, but by permission. And permission is granted in an instant. Think not of how long you have been waiting. Think only of how ready you are to receive. For life does not measure your past, it measures your openness now. And in the holy now, transformation is always possible. What seems fixed dissolves. What seems lost returns. What seems impossible arrives. Instant transformation begins with inner permission. For nothing in life can truly shift until you grant it entry through the gates of your own consciousness. Every man and woman holds the key. Yet many live as though locked outside their own treasure house, waiting for someone else to open the door. They pray, they plead, they hope, but deep within they have not yet given themselves the sacred. Yes, the universe, being perfectly ordered, cannot impose itself upon an unwilling mind. It does not violate free will. It stands ready, overflowing with abundance. Yet it waits silently for the moment you permit it to move through you. When you decide inwardly, when you release the resistance of doubt and the hesitation of fear, the outer world reorders itself to match your allowance. The shift does not require years of toil, nor does it depend on the slow grind of worldly logic. It depends only on the inner consent you offer. To grant permission is to align with divine law, to say with the heart and not merely the lips, "I am ready for my good." And the instant that readiness is sincere, doors appear where once there were walls. Most live believing that change must come through struggle. They repeat to themselves, "I must work harder, I must prove myself, I must earn what I desire." Yet this belief is itself a locked gate, and no matter how long they labor, the gate remains closed until they allow themselves to be free of that thought. The truth is simple: your good does not arrive because of effort. It arrives because of alignment. And alignment is but a thought away. In the moment you release the burden of believing you must strive endlessly, the very striving ceases to block the flow of what was already waiting to enter. Inner permission is the dissolving of resistance. It is the gentle yielding of the soul that ceases to say, "Not yet, not me, not possible." How many times has life offered opportunities? And how many times has the fearful mind refused them? How often have you turned away from the very blessing you prayed for, saying to yourself, "It cannot be that easy," or "I do not deserve it"? These small refusals accumulate, and they create the illusion of delay. Yet the moment you permit yourself to accept, to believe, to claim, the years of seeming delay collapse, and the instant reveals itself. The permission begins as a quiet choice, not a loud declaration. It is an inner shift, as subtle as the lifting of a veil. You may not feel the earth shake or hear trumpets sound, but you will notice a calm certainty arising within you. A knowing that what you desire is already yours in the unseen, and that it is only awaiting your embrace. That knowing is the signature of inner permission. It is the sign that you have stepped aside, that you have stopped blocking the river, and that you are allowing the waters of good to flow in their natural course. Those who grant themselves permission walk through life differently. They do not beg, they do not chase, they do not strain. Instead, they walk as though what they desire is already secure, because they have accepted it within first. This acceptance radiates outward, and circumstances reorganize themselves accordingly. To others, it looks like sudden fortune or unexpected blessings, but to the one who has given permission, it feels natural, inevitable, simply the outworking of what was already true within. The instant is always available, for time is no barrier to spirit. The outer world of clocks and calendars may suggest that progress requires duration, but in the realm of the unseen, change is not bound by minutes or years. When the inner permission is granted, what once seemed impossible becomes the next logical step. A job appears, a relationship is restored, a healing unfolds, an opportunity arrives. None of these are miracles to the awakened. They are simply the reflection of the inner allowance. To understand this is to realize that you are never waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. The blessings you seek are not in some distant future, nor are they withheld by some stern hand of fate. They hover at the edge of your awareness, ready to manifest the moment you lift the veil of resistance. The resistance may take the form of doubt, fear, guilt, or unworthiness. But all these shadows vanish in the light of permission. For permission is the act of saying, I release these false beliefs. I choose to see differently. I open the door. It is not the world that is closed, it is the mind that closes itself with its own bars of disbelief. To grant permission is to remove those bars one by one, until the cage is gone and the infinite sky is revealed. In that moment, the transformation is not gradual but immediate, because it was never about building something new, but about allowing what was already there to be seen. Inner permission is power, yet it is not force. It is not the will that clenches its fist and demands. It is the will that relaxes and surrenders to truth. To permit is to trust, to allow. To believe that the universe is benevolent and that its gifts are yours by divine right. This attitude does not push against life, it flows with it. And because it flows, it attracts without struggle and manifests without delay. When you finally give yourself permission to be whole, to be wealthy, to be loved, to be free, you stop fighting against your own good. You stop contradicting your desires with thoughts of unworthiness or impossibility. You stop canceling your affirmations with fears. You simply let it be, and in letting it be, it becomes. That is the instant of transformation, the holy moment where heaven touches earth in the form of your lived experience. The unseen laws respond to thought, word, and belief. For every vibration you send forth sets in motion a chain of unseen currents that ultimately shape the visible world around you. Nothing occurs by chance, though to the unawakened mind it may appear as accident or coincidence. In truth, every experience is but the harvest of seeds sown in consciousness, whether through deliberate thought or careless imagining. Life does not discriminate, it faithfully mirrors what is impressed upon it. For the law is exact and impartial. It knows no favoritism, nor does it yield to pleading or lamentation. It responds only to the pattern that is placed within it, and that pattern is determined by what you think, what you speak, and what you believe. Your thoughts are the architects of form. They are silent builders, ceaselessly shaping the unseen substance of life into structures that later appear as circumstances. A thought of fear plants itself and grows into experiences that confirm the fear, while a thought of faith plants itself and blossoms into events that confirm the faith. Each thought carries with it a magnetic power, drawing to itself those conditions that match its nature. When you dwell on lack, lack hastens to fulfill itself. When you dwell on abundance, abundance rushes forward to answer. There is no partiality in the law, it only knows how to echo. Words are thought crystallized into vibration, and their power is multiplied because they are spoken into the ethers. A careless word of doubt is like a command issued to the invisible forces, and they obey without questioning. To say, I never have enough, is to set the law into motion to prove you correct. To say, I am always provided for, is to give the same law a new instruction, and it begins to reorganize circumstances accordingly. Words are not idle. They are charged with creative fire. Every declaration becomes a decree, and every decree sets in motion events that unfold in perfect precision. Belief is the final seal upon thought and word, for belief determines the degree of conviction. You may think a thought and speak a word, but if you do not believe it, the vibration is weakened. Yet when thought, word, and belief align in harmony, the effect is instantaneous and powerful. Belief is the fuel that ignites the engine of creation. To believe with certainty is to engrave the pattern upon the invisible fabric of life so deeply that it must appear in form. Even a small belief, if held with consistency, will eventually manifest, for the law cannot deny what is imprinted upon it. The unseen laws are impartial servants, yet most people unknowingly misuse them. They scatter thoughts of fear, they speak words of complaint, they harbor beliefs of limitation. And then they wonder why life reflects back hardship. The law is not punishing them. It is merely echoing what they themselves have impressed upon it. The universe is like a mirror, incapable of reflecting anything other than the image placed before it. If you dislike the reflection, you must change the image, not the mirror. To work in harmony with the unseen laws is to cultivate awareness of your mental and verbal patterns. It is to take responsibility for what you allow to circulate in your consciousness. When you guard your thoughts, refine your words, and strengthen your beliefs, you direct the law to manifest what you truly desire. A gardener does not plant weeds and then expect roses. He plants roses deliberately, knowing the soil will grow whatever seed it receives. The same is true for consciousness. Whatever seed of thought is planted with belief will bear fruit, whether sweet or bitter. Consider the one who constantly affirms illness, speaking of symptoms, rehearsing stories of pain, expecting decline. The law hears only the repeated pattern and reproduces it faithfully. Yet another, who affirms health, who speaks life, who believes in vitality, begins to experience conditions that align with that belief. The body itself responds to the invisible instruction given by consciousness. Cells, organs, and functions are not separate from thought. They are influenced and directed by it. In the same way, relationships, finances, and opportunities are all subject to the unseen commands issued by thought, word, and belief. Some imagine that the law responds only to strong emotions, yet even quiet, habitual thoughts carry weight. It is not only the dramatic declarations that shape life but also the subtle undercurrents repeated day after day. The passing worry, the idle complaint, the silent doubt, all are instructions written upon the unseen. The law does not measure the size of the thought, it simply multiplies what it is given. Therefore, it is wise to cultivate the smallest thought as carefully as the largest. Faithful use of the unseen laws requires discipline, but not strain. It is not a matter of forcing thoughts or pretending belief where none exists. It is a gentle training of the mind, a consistent choosing of words, a nurturing of beliefs until they grow strong. As you persist, the old patterns of limitation dissolve, and new patterns take root. The outer results may appear gradual, but the inner law is always immediate. The moment the new seed is planted with belief, the process begins. The harvest will come in due time, just as surely as a seed placed in fertile soil must sprout. Many marvel when sudden good fortune comes, calling it luck or coincidence, but nothing is random. Every so-called stroke of luck is the result of thoughts, words, and beliefs previously sound. What appears sudden is merely the visible manifestation of an unseen process that has been quietly at work all along. Likewise, what appears as misfortune is the unfolding of seeds sown unconsciously. The wise do not blame the harvest, they examine the seed. The power of belief is so great that it can override circumstances. A person who believes strongly enough in success will succeed, even when all outer signs point to failure, for the law must eventually align the outer with the inner. Conversely, one who believes firmly in failure will fail, even when opportunities surround them, because the law will find a way to confirm the belief. Circumstances are not the cause, they are the effect. The cause is always invisible, rooted in thought, word, and belief. When you realize this, you cease to argue with appearances. You no longer rail against conditions, for you know they are but reflections of what has already been impressed upon the unseen. Instead, you turn inward, adjusting the thought, refining the word, strengthening the belief. You know that by changing the cause, the effect must follow. This is the mastery of life, the art of working with the unseen laws rather than against them. Fear binds, but release invites divine order. For fear is the invisible chain that fastens the soul to conditions of limitation. It is the belief in danger, lack, loss, and failure that keeps men and women imprisoned in circumstances they long to escape. Fear does not simply dwell in the mind as a passing shadow. It impresses itself upon the unseen law, and the law responds with conditions that echo the fear. The very thing dreaded is magnetized, and the circle of bondage grows stronger with each anxious thought. Yet the moment fear is released, even for an instant, divine order is free to enter. What appeared as confusion finds harmony, what seemed tangled straightens, what was blocked opens wide. For divine order needs only a willing channel through which to flow. Fear convinces the mind to clutch, to grip, to hold tightly, to control. Yet this very grasping prevents the natural movement of life. Imagine a clenched fist holding so tightly to what it fears to lose that no new blessing can be placed within it. Only when the fist opens, when the hand relaxes, can something greater be given. Release is the act of opening that hand. It is the willingness to let go of the imagined control, to trust that the universe is not hostile but benevolent, that life is not plotting against you but working for you. In that surrender, the rigid chains of fear melt, and order reestablishes itself effortlessly. Fear blinds the eyes to possibilities. It whispers lies of insufficiency. There is not enough, you are not enough, the way is blocked, danger is ahead. Under its influence, the mind becomes narrow, seeing only obstacles. Yet release widens vision. When fear is dropped, even slightly, 1,000 paths appear where once there seemed none. What was thought impossible suddenly seems natural, because fear was never the reality. It was only the veil obscuring reality. The release of fear is the lifting of that veil, and in the light of truth, order reveals itself as always present, always ready, always sufficient. Divine order is the natural state of all life. It is the harmony underlying every seeming chaos, the rhythm beneath every appearance of discord. Just as a river finds its way to the sea without effort, so too does life find its way to balance when left unblocked. Fear is the stone thrown in the river, creating turbulence and resistance, but the river still moves. Release is the act of removing the stone, allowing the waters to flow smoothly once again. Nothing needs to be forced, for divine order requires no pushing. It only requires the absence of interference. Those who live under fear often attempt to arrange their lives by control, by endless planning, by defending against imagined calamities. Yet the more they grasp, the more chaotic life appears, for fear attracts the very confusion it resists. In contrast, the one who releases fear and trusts divine order walks with quiet assurance. This assurance is not born of naivety but of alignment. They know that even if appearances shift, the underlying current of good remains steady. Because they do not bind themselves with worry. They allow solutions to rise naturally, often in ways they could never have contrived through their own anxious planning. Fear is heavy, pressing upon the mind and body with its weight. It drains vitality, clouds judgment, and distorts perception. Release is light, lifting the spirit into freedom. When you release fear, even momentarily, a surge of energy moves through you, as though you have been carrying a burden that was never yours. The release is not the denial of responsibility. It is the denial of the false belief that life is against you. By letting go of that illusion, you restore harmony to your body, clarity to your mind, and openness to your heart. To release fear does not mean to banish every tremor of anxiety from your being. It means to choose not to give it authority. Fear may knock at the door, but you need not invite it in. You may acknowledge its presence, yet refuse to dwell upon its message. With every refusal, Fear weakens until it no longer binds you. Each act of trust, each moment of surrender, strengthens the pathway of divine order, until it becomes the natural response. Where once fear dictated every choice, release now guides the way. Divine order does not arrive as a reward. It is already here. Fear obscures it, and release reveals it. Imagine a room filled with sunlight, yet covered by heavy curtains. The sunlight is present, but the curtains prevent its entrance. Fear is that curtain, drawn tightly across the windows of your life. Release is the simple act of pulling it back. The light floods in, not because it was newly created, but because it was always there, awaiting your permission to enter. Every life holds stories of how fear created delay and how release brought swift resolution. A person fears losing a job, and their worry grows until mistakes multiply and the loss becomes inevitable. Yet another, faced with the same possibility, chooses to release fear, affirming quietly, "Divine order governs my work. What is mine by right cannot be taken from me." In that release, doors open. Either the current position stabilizes or a greater opportunity emerges. The difference is not chance. It is the choice between fear and release. Fear binds relationships as well. It clings, it grasps, it distrusts, creating the very tension it dreads. Release brings harmony, for it allows love to flow freely, unforced and unconditioned. To release fear in love is to trust that what is real cannot be lost, and what departs was never meant to stay. Divine order governs even human connections, weaving them together and loosening them apart, according to higher wisdom. The fearful heart tries to dictate, but the released heart knows that true companionship flourishes under freedom, not under chains. In the realm of health, fear magnifies symptoms and cements illness, for the body listens closely to the voice of the mind. To fear sickness is to impress sickness, while to release fear is to open the way for healing. Divine order regulates every cell, every organ, every function, and when fear is released, that order resumes its natural harmony. Healing often appears miraculous, but it is simply the restoration of what was hindered. Fear binds in the world of supply as well, whispering that resources are scarce, that prosperity is distant, that loss is near. This fear causes hoarding, desperation, and anxious striving, all of which push supply further away. Release, however, trusts the invisible source, affirming that abundance flows according to divine order. The released mind is open to unexpected channels, to sudden provision, to opportunities unseen. It does not clutch at pennies, for it knows the treasury of the universe is limitless. By refusing to bind itself with fear, it becomes the channel through which supply can pour freely. Good is not delayed. It awaits recognition. For the blessings you seek are not moving toward you from some distant horizon, they are already present in the unseen, pressing at the gates of your consciousness, waiting only for your acceptance. The idea that good takes time to arrive is a deception of the senses, for time is an illusion of the outer world, while good belongs to the eternal now. The moment you recognize it, the moment you claim it with conviction, it begins to take form before your eyes. The harvest does not wait on the soil, it waits on the seed. The seed is your recognition, and the soil is life itself, ever fertile, ever ready to bring forth whatever is planted within it. Delay is not in the law. Delay is in the mind that refuses to see. The universe does not withhold, it only mirrors. If you believe that blessings are far off, they appear far off. If you believe that abundance is reserved for some distant future, it will remain postponed indefinitely. Recognition collapses the illusion of distance, for in recognizing you make real what was already true. The moment you affirm, "I am provided for now," the law sets itself in motion to reflect that truth. The provision may appear through unexpected channels, but it was never delayed. It was always present, waiting for you to open your eyes to it. Think of a room filled with treasures, but shrouded in darkness. You stumble and complain that nothing is there, yet the treasures fill the space from wall to wall. The instant you strike a light, the room is revealed, not because the treasures arrived at that moment, but because you finally saw them. Good is like that. It does not arrive, it is revealed through recognition. Your recognition is the light, and the treasures respond by making themselves visible. Many souls live in a state of waiting. They wait for circumstances to improve, for people to change, for years to pass before they allow themselves to believe in good. In their waiting, they postpone what could be theirs now. Recognition does not ask for tomorrow, it demands the present moment. The law cannot act in yesterday, nor can it act in tomorrow. It can only act now. Every moment of postponement is a moment of delay that you yourself create. The instant you shift your awareness, the instant you say, "It is already mine by divine right," the law responds in kind. Good is not something to be earned by suffering or prolonged effort. That belief itself is a form of blindness. The universe is not a stern master demanding toil before reward, it is a generous giver, ceaselessly pouring forth abundance. If it seems that good is withheld, it is because recognition has been withheld. Just as a radio cannot play music unless tuned to the right frequency, so too can you not experience good until your mind is attuned to its presence. The music is always there, filling the airwaves, but you hear it only when you recognize the channel. Recognition is the tuning of the inner receiver. It is the choice to align thought, word, and belief with the truth that good is already here. To recognize abundance is to speak as though it is present, to act as though it is secure, to believe as though it is inevitable. This recognition draws the unseen into form. It is not a struggle, for nothing new is being created, it is a revelation of what has always existed in the invisible. Consider the person who constantly says, "One day I will prosper, one day I will be happy, one day things will change." They live in the perpetual future, and the future never arrives. Another says, "I am prosperous now, I am happy now, I am blessed now," and life reorganizes to confirm that recognition. Outer circumstances may not yet fully reflect it, but the inner declaration sets the law into motion, and soon the outer aligns with the inner. The difference lies not in opportunity or fate, but in recognition. The illusion of delay is strengthened by appearances. You may look at your bank account and see lack, at your body and see weakness, at your life and see emptiness. The senses declare loudly, "There is no good here." Yet the unseen law whispers, "Look again with different eyes." Recognition is not the denial of appearances. It is the refusal to let appearances dictate truth. Appearances shift, they rise and fall, they vanish and return, but truth is eternal. The truth is that good is always present, whether or not the senses acknowledge it. To train yourself in recognition is to practice gratitude for what already exists, even when small. Gratitude sharpens the vision and expands the awareness of good. The more you notice, the more you recognize, and the more the law reflects abundance back to you. Recognition is not a mental exercise only, it is a spiritual posture. It is the deep knowing that beneath every appearance, good is active, ready to emerge at the first sign of acceptance. Many imagine that when something is lost, good has departed. Yet in truth, good is never gone, only changing form. Recognition allows you to see beyond the loss into the new channel, through which good now wishes to flow. The person who clings to the old form says, "My good has vanished." The one who recognizes says, "My good is here in another way." And by that recognition, they meet it without delay. Even in hardship, recognition transforms the experience. Where fear sees punishment, recognition sees redirection. Where despair sees emptiness, recognition sees the preparation for greater fullness. Recognition never waits for perfect conditions, it finds the thread of good even in imperfection, and by finding it pulls more of it into visibility. This is not blind optimism, but spiritual law. What you recognize grows stronger, and what you ignore withers away. Good is immediate, but it requires your consent. Recognition is that consent, the granting of permission for good to reveal itself. Without it, the law remains silent, mirroring back uncertainty. With it, the law responds at once, shifting circumstances to match your awareness. The outer world bends itself around the inner declaration, proving again and again that delay is but an illusion sustained by doubt. Faith opens doors without effort or time. For faith is the key that turns the invisible into the visible, the unseen into the seen, the hoped for into the experienced. Faith does not ask for proof, it provides its own proof by the quiet certainty it carries. Where fear questions and doubts, faith declares and accepts. Where reason demands explanation, faith rests in assurance. It does not struggle, it does not labor, it does not argue, it simply knows. And in that knowing, the doors that seemed locked swing wide, as though they were never shut at all. Faith operates in a realm beyond effort. Effort is the attempt of the human will to force outcomes, to bend circumstances by sheer strain. Faith bypasses effort by aligning with the higher law that is already working in harmony. When one is in faith, there is no need to push against life, for faith flows with life. It is not idle or passive, but it is effortless, because it does not attempt to carry the burden of control. Faith hands the burden to the infinite, and in so doing, experiences the release of miracles that human striving could never achieve. Time is an illusion to faith, for faith lives in the eternal now. The mind bound by time says, perhaps someday, but faith says, it is now. The outer world may still be arranging itself into visible form, but faith already claims the reality of the unseen. In this way, faith collapses time, drawing the desired into the present. What others wait years to see, faith perceives immediately, and because it perceives, it manifests. The invisible law responds to conviction, not to the clock, and conviction is what faith supplies. Faith opens doors because it acts as recognition in its highest form. It not only acknowledges the presence of good, but fully accepts it as already accomplished. To have faith in supply is to live as though supply is certain, to speak as though abundance is present, to expect provision without hesitation. That expectation itself sets the unseen law in motion. To have faith in health is to affirm vitality, even when appearances suggest weakness. To trust the deeper order that governs every cell, to believe in harmony where the senses cry disorder. Faith gives the command, and the law obeys. There is no door so strong that faith cannot open it, for every door is only a belief in limitation made visible. Faith dissolves the belief and reveals the way. Where there seemed to be no path, faith uncovers a path. Where there seemed to be no opportunity, faith calls forth opportunity. Where there seemed to be no hope, faith declares hope and sees it fulfilled. These openings are not accidents. They are the natural outworking of the law responding to unwavering conviction. Many misunderstand faith as wishful thinking, but faith is not wishing. Wishing is weak, uncertain, filled with longing but lacking conviction. Faith is substance. It is the very evidence of things unseen. The inner assurance that no matter what appearances suggest, the truth is already established. Faith does not beg or hope, it claims and knows. This inner stance is what opens doors, because the universe cannot resist conviction. It must mirror it, just as surely as an echo repeats a sound. Faith is magnetic. It draws to itself people, circumstances, and opportunities that align with its vibration. The one who walks in faith finds doors swinging open, where others find them locked, not because of favoritism, but because of alignment. Faith tunes the soul to the frequency of the desired outcome, and in that resonance, the invisible and visible connect. The so-called coincidences of life are the footprints of faith at work. Effort often creates resistance. In trying too hard, one unconsciously affirms that the desired good is distant, difficult, or uncertain. Faith eliminates resistance, for it affirms that the good is already here, already accomplished, already certain. In that certainty, the struggle ceases and the path clears. What seemed like obstacles dissolve, not because the world changed suddenly, but because faith no longer perceived them as obstacles. Faith changes the lens through which life is seen, and in changing the lens, it changes the life. Time is conquered by faith because faith is rooted in eternity. To the eternal, all is now, and faith lives from that place. When one believes that manifestation requires years, they have sound delay into the law. But when faith declares, it is already so, the law obeys immediately. The outer form may appear gradually to the senses, but in truth, the shift was instant. Faith had already claimed it, and once claimed, the manifestation is inevitable. Faith does not demand visible signs to be certain. In fact, it is strongest in the absence of signs, for it knows that the unseen precedes the seen. The farmer does not dig up his seeds each morning to check for growth. He trusts the law of growth. Likewise, faith trusts the invisible law of manifestation. It plants the seed of conviction and rests in assurance, knowing that the harvest is certain. This rest is not passivity, it is power. It is the calm authority of one who knows the law and relies upon it without wavering. The beauty of faith is that it requires no special conditions, no perfect environment, no extended preparation. It can be exercised here and now, in any circumstance, by anyone who dares to believe. The poorest can believe themselves rich and doors open. The sick can believe themselves whole, and healing begins. The lonely can believe themselves loved and companionship arrives. Faith is the universal key, available to all, and it works without delay once it is applied. Every door in life represents a threshold, a passage from one state to another. Fear sees the door as locked, doubt declares it too heavy to move, reason says the key is missing. Faith simply turns the handle, and the door yields. This is not because the door was truly barred, but because belief made it so. Faith removes the belief, and the opening is revealed. In this way, faith shows that what we call barriers are only illusions, shadows created by disbelief. Faith is the great simplifier of life. It removes the burden of endless striving, the anxiety of waiting, the torment of uncertainty. It replaces them with certainty, ease, and immediacy. It does not postpone, it does not complicate, it does not confuse. It affirms truth directly, and truth responds directly. Faith knows that the universe is ordered, abundant, and generous, and in that knowing, it experiences the universe as such.
Beloved, money is never absent in spirit. What looks like lack in the outer world is only an illusion. At the very moment you think you have nothing, heaven has already prepared your supply. But here is the truth many forget. Supply does not come through worry, through panic, or through fear. Supply answers only to faith, and faith speaks through words. Your words are not empty sounds. They are commands written upon the air. When you declare lack, you build lack. When you declare abundance, you open the gates of provision. The world may say, "You are broke." But heaven says, "You are provided for." The choice of which voice you agree with rests upon your tongue. I tell you today, when you do not have money, you are not helpless. You are not abandoned. You are one decree away from turning the tide. One spoken word of faith can cancel 1,000 fears. 4 words, spoken with conviction, can shift the atmosphere around you. These 4 words are not a formula, they are not a trick, they are truth itself. Speak them, believe them, feel them, and supply must obey. Beloved, lean in, for I will reveal them to you. And once you know, you will never look at lack the same again. Beloved, words are the substance of creation. Every tree, every star, every breath of wind was first spoken into existence by the Word. The Bible declares, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." If all that exists was born from a word, how much more must your daily words shape the life you live? When you do not have money, the temptation is to say what you see. "I am broke. I cannot afford this. I never have enough." But hear me, those words are not innocent. They are decrees. Each time you speak them, you call lack into your atmosphere. Your tongue is the pen, and your life is the paper. What you write upon it, you must read. What you speak into it, you must live. This is why so many live in cycles of shortage. They pray for provision, yet every hour they confess lack. They ask for abundance, yet with their next breath they declare poverty. Spirit cannot contradict your own decree. Heaven moves in agreement with faith, not fear. And every careless word is a seed planted in the soil of your subconscious. Sow broke, and you will reap broke. Sow never enough, and you will reap never enough. A Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Man can change his conditions by changing his words." She did not say by force, or by struggle, or by endless worry. She said by words. Because words are not small things, beloved. Words are vibrations, and vibration attracts form. Speak of shortage, and shortage is drawn to you. Speak of supply, and supply finds you without delay. Think of it this way. Your words are like doors. Each one you speak either opens a door to blessing or bolts it shut. When you say, I cannot afford it, you slam a door in the face of opportunity. When you say, I never have enough, you lock yourself out of abundance. But when you say, God is my supply, you throw open the gates of heaven. You allow provision to march in because your word aligns with divine law. Let me give you a picture. Imagine standing in a garden with a watering can in your hand. Each word you speak is a drop of water. If you water weeds, worry, fear, doubt, they will grow taller, faster, stronger. But if you water seeds of truth, faith, abundance, prosperity, those flowers will bloom. The garden does not choose for you. The soil does not argue. It simply grows what you plant. So it is with life. Your life does not argue with your words. It multiplies them. Beloved, I ask you, what are you watering each day? Are you feeding the weeds of lack with constant worry, constant talk of shortage, constant sighs of defeat, or are you watering the seeds of abundance with decrees of faith? Now hear me clearly. This is not about pretending you have money you do not see. It is about choosing which reality you will align with, the temporary illusion of lack or the eternal truth of supply. When you say, I am broke, you bow before the illusion. When you say, God is my supply, you align with eternal truth. One is worship at the altar of fear. The other is worship at the throne of faith. And do not say, but Florence, I must be realistic. Beloved, what is reality? Is it the fleeting number on a bank statement, or is it the eternal promise that my God shall supply all your need? Which has more weight, a passing figure or an unbreakable law? Realism is not repeating what fear shows you. Realism is standing on the rock of truth when all else shakes. This is why your words matter most when money is absent. Anyone can speak abundance when the purse is full. True faith is proven when the purse is empty, and yet the tongue declares, I am rich in spirit, and my supply is on its way. That decree pulls unseen supply into sight. That decree shifts atmosphere, rearranges circumstances, and commands money to appear in perfect timing. So guard your lips, beloved. Speak not lack, even in jest. Speak not shortage, even in passing. Every word is a seed, every word is a decree, every word is a door. And today you must decide which harvest you want to reap, which law you want to enforce, which door you want to open. Let us seal this with practice. Say with me, I never speak lack. I only speak supply. My words are doors to abundance, and today I open them wide. I decree that money flows to me under grace and in perfect ways. Beloved, we have come to the heart of this message. I told you that when you do not have money, you are not powerless. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are one decree away from provision, and that decree is captured in 4 simple words. 4 words that turn fear into faith, stress into peace, lack into supply. 4 words that open the windows of heaven and command angels of abundance to move on your behalf. These words are not mine, they are eternal. They are not a trick, they are truth. The 4 words are God is my supply. Say them now, slowly, with reverence. God is my supply, not man, not wages, not banks, not circumstances, not luck, not chance. God is my supply. The moment these words leave your lips with faith, the atmosphere begins to shift. Fear loosens its grip, stress weakens. Doubt trembles, for you have turned your attention away from the illusion of lack and fixed it on the eternal source. Most people see money as their supply. They say, if only I had more money, I would be safe. But money is not the source. It is only a channel. Channels may open and close, but the source never runs dry. If one door shuts, another opens. If one stream ends, another begins. You are never without because God is your supply and God is endless. The Apostle Paul declared, My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Notice, he did not say some of your need. He did not say only the small needs. He said all your need. That means bills, debts, rent, food, clothing, opportunities. All are included in all. And how are they supplied? Not by the limits of earth, but by the riches of heaven. That is why the 4 words carry such weight. They remind you that supply is not bound by numbers on a screen or dollars in a wallet. Supply comes from a source greater than banks, greater than jobs, greater than governments. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that when you say, God is my supply, you cut off the cords of fear that tie you to man as your source. You release the stress of thinking you must figure it all out yourself. You rest in the knowledge that Spirit already knows your need, already prepared your answer, already sent your supply. These words shift the burden from your shoulders to the everlasting arms. Now let me show you how to use them. Do not whisper them with doubt. Do not mumble them as a last resort. Speak them with authority. Each time a bill arrives, lay your hand upon it and declare, God is my supply. Each time you feel the pang of fear about money, stop and say aloud, God is my supply. Each morning before you face the world, speak into the air around you, God is my supply. And do not only say them, feel them. Let peace rise in your chest as you declare them. Let the tension leave your shoulders as you remember you are not your own provider. Let joy bubble up as you realize that money is not your master, God is. And God is generous, faithful, unchanging, abundant. Beloved, I tell you, this one soul who declares, God is my supply, with faith can change their entire destiny. Doors will open that seemed shut. Unexpected money will appear in perfect timing. Opportunities will chase you down. People will bless you without knowing why. Why? Because your decree shifts your vibration, and the law of attraction answers it. Fear attracts lack, but faith attracts supply. These 4 words are your key. Repeat them until they become your instinct. Say them when fear rises in the night. Say them when doubt whispers in the morning. Say them when others around you complain of shortage. While the world speaks of recession, you speak of supply. While others say, we are broke, you say, God is my supply. While the outer world shakes, you stand unshaken, because your source is eternal. So let us speak it now as a decree, not once, but 3 times to seal it. God is my supply. God is my supply. God is my supply. And so it is. Beloved, words alone are mighty, but when words are clothed in vision and feeling, they become unstoppable. The 4 words, God is my supply, carry the full force of heaven, yet to speak them without vision is like planting a seed and never watering it. To speak them with vision and feeling is to watch that seed sprout, bloom, and bear fruit. So let us go deeper. The moment you say, God is my supply, close your eyes and see it. See yourself surrounded not by lack, but by light. See streams of golden abundance flowing toward you from every direction. Unexpected checks in the mail, opportunities opening like flowers, bills stamped paid in full. Picture your wallet not empty but full. See your bank account not dwindling but multiplying. As you speak, paint pictures on the canvas of your mind that agree with your decree. Florence Scovel Shinn said, man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. This is why many prayers go unanswered. They beg for abundance but inwardly picture lack. They speak words of prosperity but still see themselves as poor. Their words and their visions are divided, and a divided house cannot stand. But when your word and your vision are one, manifestation must follow. So let us practice together. Say aloud, God is my supply. Now close your eyes and imagine yourself walking into a store without worry. You see what you desire, you purchase it with peace, you walk out with joy. There is no anxiety, no doubt, no heaviness, only freedom. Now say again, God is my supply. This time, imagine sitting at your table, bills before you. One by one, you see them stamped paid in full. Relief washes over you. Your shoulders drop, your chest opens, your heart rests. That is the feeling of truth taking root. Beloved, the mind is a projector. Whatever film you place inside it, life will play upon the screen of your affairs. If you run reels of lack, life will show lack. If you play reels of provision, life will show provision. This is why visualization is holy work. It is not fantasy, it is prophecy. It is the rehearsal of faith until faith becomes fact. The more vividly you see it, the faster it comes. Feel the weight of money in your hands. Hear the sound of gratitude in your voice as you say, thank you, God. My supply is endless. Smell the freshness of freedom when you know every need is met. Taste the sweetness of life without stress. Do not leave any sense untouched. Let your entire being agree with your decree. And let gratitude be your seal. Gratitude is proof of belief. You do not thank for what you doubt. You thank for what you know is yours. Each time you say, God is my supply. Follow it with a simple, thank you. Thank you that it is done. Thank you that I am provided for. Thank you that supply flows now. Gratitude is the final brushstroke that completes the painting. Beloved, this practice is not to be done once and forgotten. It must become your rhythm. In the morning, before your feet touch the floor, declare, God is my supply, and see your day unfolding in abundance. During the day, whenever stress arises, pause, speak the 4 words, and replace the picture of lack with a vision of overflow. At night before sleep, whisper, God is my supply, and drift into dreams where every need is already met. If you do this faithfully, you will notice a shift. The anxiety will fade, replaced by calm. The panic will dissolve, replaced by peace, and soon the outer world will rearrange itself to match the inner truth. Opportunities will appear. Money will arrive. Solutions will present themselves. For the law is unbreakable as within, so without. So let us seal this section with a decree of vision. Place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and say slowly, God is my supply. I see myself rich. I see myself free. I see my bills paid, my wallet full, my bank account overflowing. I feel peace in my soul, joy in my heart, and abundance in my life. God is my supply, and I am provided for under grace and in perfect ways. Say it until the picture becomes more real than the fear. For the picture you hold is the life you will live. Beloved, truth is not a one-time act, it is a daily walk. Just as you eat daily to sustain your body, so must you speak and decree daily to sustain your spirit. The 4 words, God is my supply, are not meant to be spoken once and forgotten. They are your bread, your water, your shield, your sword. The more you repeat them with faith, the more they saturate your subconscious until fear has no place to hide. Florence Scovel Shinn often said, your word is your wand. But a wand in the drawer has no power. It must be lifted, swung, and used. In the same way, your daily practice of affirmations is the lifting of your wand, the wielding of your authority, the aligning of your life with divine law. So let us make a pattern. In the morning, before the noise of the world begins, rise and speak these 4 words aloud 3 times. God is my supply. God is my supply. God is my supply. Do not rush them. Speak slowly with reverence, as though angels are listening, and they are. As you speak, see your day unfolding in provision. Picture yourself walking in peace, every need met before it arises. This is how you clothe yourself for the day, not only with garments but with decree. During the day, carry these words as a shield. When fear whispers, answer at once. When doubt knocks, respond with certainty. If you are at the grocery store and worry stirs, pause and say softly, God is my supply. If you see a bill and feel panic rise, place your hand upon it and declare, God is my supply. Each repetition drives the truth deeper, like hammering a nail into solid wood until it holds firm. You may even create variations of the decree to keep your practice alive and flowing. God is my supply, and my supply is endless. God is my supply, and my money comes under grace. God is my supply, and I never stress about money. God is my supply, and all my needs are already met. But each variation is like a different note in the same melody. Together they form a song of abundance that plays in your soul all day long. At night, as you prepare for sleep, let these words be the last upon your lips. God is my supply. Whisper them until your body rests and your spirit drifts into dreams. For even in the night, your subconscious listens, and when it hears faith, it works through the dark hours to arrange your affairs in perfect ways. Many have awakened after such practice to find unexpected provision waiting. Letters in the mail, opportunities offered, money arriving without effort. Why? Because while they rested, their decree was working. Beloved, do not underestimate the power of consistency. A single seed planted may sprout, but a garden watered daily will bloom in beauty. A word spoken once may inspire, but a word spoken daily will transform. The more you repeat, the stronger the truth becomes in you, until fear cannot find entry and stress has no foothold. Make these 4 words your rhythm. Write them upon slips of paper and place them where your eyes will fall, on your mirror, your desk, your wallet. Record them in your voice and play them as you drive. Whisper them under your breath as you walk. Let no day pass without hearing them in your own voice, for your own voice carries the most authority over your subconscious. And remember, beloved, this practice is not begging God to give you something He has withheld. It is reminding yourself of what has always been true. You are not trying to convince God. You are convincing your own heart. God has never stopped being your supply. Only fear blinded you. Only stress deceived you. Only doubt whispered otherwise. Each repetition of these 4 words clears away the illusion and reveals the truth. So let us seal this practice now with decree. Place your hand upon your heart and say aloud, God is my supply. I rise in supply. I walk in supply. I sleep in supply. I am never late. I am never lacking. For my supply is endless, secure, and always on time. God is my supply, and I am rich in faith, rich in peace, rich in provision. Speak this morning and night in calm and storm, in need and in plenty. Make it your breath, your song, your shield. And soon you will see that the words were never empty. They were law, waiting to be spoken. Beloved, we have walked the path together. We have unmasked stress as a false god, exposed fear as inverted faith, and revealed the power of decree. We have spoken of the law of substitution. We have painted visions of overflow. We have practiced daily affirmations. And now we arrive at the summit, the final decree. This is the moment you seal the truth upon your heart so deeply that no whisper of lack can uproot it. The 4 words you have learned, God is my supply, are not a charm, not a trick, not an empty phrase. They are eternal law. They are a covenant between your soul and spirit. They are the key that unlocks every door, the staff that parts every sea, the light that dissolves every shadow of lack. When you speak them, you do not speak as a beggar. You speak as a child of the King. When you decree them, you do not plead for scraps. You claim the banquet already prepared for you before the foundation of the world. So let us lift our voices now in decree. Say with me, slowly, firmly, with authority, God is my supply. My supply is endless, secure, and always on time. I do not fear lack, for lack is an illusion. I do not bow to stress, for stress is a false master. I walk in peace, I walk in abundance, I walk in divine provision. God is my supply, and money comes to me easily, effortlessly, and under grace. Every bill is paid, every need is met, every desire is fulfilled in perfect ways. Pause, breathe, and feel it. Let the words settle into your chest like anchors of truth. Stress may knock at the door tomorrow, but your decree will answer. Doubt may whisper in the night, but your decree will silence it. Fear may try to paint shadows, but your decree will flood them with light. Beloved, decree is more than sound. It is a shift of ownership. When you say, God is my supply, you hand over the burden of provision to the source that never fails. You lay down the heavy yoke of self-reliance and take up the light yoke of faith. You step out of anxiety and into alignment, out of stress and into rest, out of fear and into certainty. And let us go further. Let us decree not only for this moment, but for every moment to come. Say with me, God is my supply in the morning when I rise. God is my supply in the day as I work. God is my supply in the night as I rest. God is my supply when bills arrive. God is my supply when opportunities appear. God is my supply in lean times and in times of plenty. God is my supply yesterday, today, and forevermore. Do you feel the power of repetition? Each line carves deeper grooves of truth into your mind. Each decree clears away the weeds of fear and plants seeds of faith. Soon, those seeds will sprout, and your life will overflow with visible proof of what your words have declared. Now, beloved, hear me clearly. The decree does not mean you will never face a bill, never see a challenge, never meet a moment of uncertainty. But it does mean that in every situation, you will stand unshaken. For your source is not the bill, your source is God. Your source is not the challenge, your source is God. Your source is not the shifting winds of circumstance. Your source is the unchanging fountain of spirit. So go forth with confidence. When others complain of shortage, let your lips declare, God is my supply. When the world trembles in fear of recession, let your heart rest in abundance. When you feel the old reflex of worry rise, stop it at once with your decree. Do not wrestle with shadows. Shine the light of truth until they flee. Let us seal this message one final time. Say with me with authority and conviction, God is my supply. I am rich in faith, rich in peace, rich in provision. My supply is endless, my prosperity secure, my abundance flowing. I never stress about money, for I live under grace and in perfect ways. God is my supply now and forevermore. And so it is. Beloved, walk from this place in peace. Walk as one who is already provided for. Walk as one who has released stress, released fear, released lack. For the decree has gone forth, and it will not return void. Money is on its way. Supply is flowing now. And every step you take is surrounded by the truth that cannot be broken. God is your supply. And so,
Beloved, life is a game, and like every game, it must be played according to law. The laws are invisible yet immutable, and they govern our every thought, word, and deed. Many wander in confusion, believing themselves victims of circumstance when in truth, circumstance is only the reflection of the inner state. The world is your looking glass, it reflects what you hold within. If discord is seen, it is discord entertained. If harmony is to be revealed, harmony must be known in the heart first. The spoken word is the wand of power. With it, one can call forth beauty or ashes, joy or sorrow, abundance or lack. What you speak, you decree. What you decree, you create. The law of prosperity waits on fearless words. To affirm lack is to bind oneself to it. To affirm supply is to invite its swift and certain appearance. Say, there is no lack, there is only plenty. And behold the doors that open where once only walls seemed to stand. Faith is the key that unlocks every prison door. Faith sees what is not yet visible, yet claims it as already accomplished. To walk by sight is to be deceived, but to walk by faith is to stand in the certainty that the unseen governs the seen. A demand made in fearless faith shall never return void. What is yours by divine right cannot be withheld, nor can it be taken from you. It awaits your recognition, and once recognized, it comes swiftly and without struggle. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Fear shuts doors, but love opens them. Love dissolves every appearance of resistance. What is held in resentment cannot bring blessing. To forgive is to free oneself. To release the other is to unlock one's own chains. Say, I bless you and release you into the harmony of God. And see how the crooked places are made straight. Love is the magnetic force that draws every good thing. It is the essence of supply, of health, of perfect expression. Intuition is the divine voice within, the inner guide that speaks in quiet certainty. Reason falters, for reason is limited by what the eyes behold. But intuition is limitless, for it draws from the reservoir of spirit. To follow intuition is to be led aright, even when the path seems hidden. To doubt intuition is to delay one's good. Listen to the still small voice, it knows the way to the treasure you seek. Every delay is only a preparation. What seems denial is but the law arranging the perfect fulfillment. Man must stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The tide turns when the heart no longer clings in fear, but releases in trust. To say, I let go and let God, is to invite the miraculous. That which was longed for comes easily when the grasping ceases. Life is a tapestry woven by thought, word, and faith. Each strand is a belief, each color a spoken decree. The picture revealed depends not on chance, but on the conscious use of law. To play the game of life rightly is to align with divine law, to speak with power, to walk in faith, to love without measure, and to listen within. Thus, every man may find his path strewn with the evidences of heaven on earth, for heaven is not afar, but here, revealed through right knowing. Life is a game governed by divine law, and every move within this game is measured, ordered, and brought forth by an unseen principle that never errs. Man often imagines himself a creature of chance, tossed by the winds of fortune. Yet the truth is far different. Nothing comes by accident, nothing enters unbidden, all is the result of law in action. Just as the laws of mathematics or music remain unchanging, so too do the spiritual laws that govern existence. These laws are exact, impartial, and ever at work, whether man recognizes them or not. To live in ignorance of them is to stumble in darkness. Yet to awaken to them is to play the game of life with mastery. Life itself is not a struggle, though many treat it as such. Life is meant to be joyous, harmonious, and abundant, for divine law does not deal in lack or limitation. Lack and limitation arise only when man plays the game against the rules, when he entertains fear instead of faith, when he affirms defeat instead of victory. The divine pattern is one of perfection, and that perfection is ever pressing to be made manifest. But man must align himself with it, for the law does not bend to his ignorance. He must bend to the law. Just as a musician cannot alter the laws of harmony, but must learn them and apply them, so too must man learn the laws of spirit if he wishes his life to resound with beauty instead of discord. One of the first laws man must understand is the law of sowing and reaping. Whatever seed is planted in thought and word will surely appear in form. The game is fair, for it reflects back exactly what has been put forth. To speak words of fear, doubt, and failure is to scatter seeds of weeds and thorns, and such a harvest will surely come. But to speak words of faith, joy, and success is to sow a field that blooms with good. The law knows no partiality, it simply brings to fruition what is planted. A careless tongue can ruin a life, while a conscious word can build an empire of peace and abundance. The game rewards accuracy, for every word spoken is a move made upon the board of life. Another law is the law of resistance. What man fears he attracts, for resistance holds the very thing in place. To fight against an evil is to give it strength, but to turn away from it in faith is to see it dissolve into nothingness. The player who seeks to win must learn not to resist, but to affirm. Instead of declaring, "I do not want sickness," he must say, "I am strong and whole." Instead of lamenting, "I am poor," he must affirm, "I am supplied and prosperous." The law takes no note of negations, only affirmations, and thus the game is won not by denying the shadows, but by calling forth the light. The law of non-resistance is closely bound to the law of faith. Faith is the winning move in every situation, for it sees beyond appearances. The player who looks only at the board and its current arrangement may believe himself cornered, but faith perceives the unseen hand that can rearrange the pieces at any moment. The law responds instantly to fearless faith, for faith opens the channel through which supply flows. The man who walks in faith knows that every need is already met, every door already open. Though the outer world has not yet revealed it, he plays with confidence, knowing the rules are on his side, and thus his moves are sure and unshaken. There is also the law of substitution. Man cannot erase a thought by force, but he can replace it with another. Fear cannot be banished by resisting it, but it can be dissolved by affirming faith. Hate cannot be extinguished by struggle, but it can be replaced with love. In the game of life, one must be ever vigilant of the inner board, the mind, for there the true battle is fought. To dwell upon failure is to invite it, but to dwell upon victory is to call it forth. The law is exact, and it never fails to bring into form that which is persistently held in thought. The player must therefore choose his thoughts as carefully as a master chooses his moves, for each thought carries the power to shape the game. The law of divine right order governs all. Nothing can be withheld from the one who plays rightly, and nothing can be forced upon him that is not his by divine right. When man demands his good fearlessly, declaring that it is his by divine right, the law responds by aligning all things to bring it to pass. Delay is not denial but only the rearranging of the board to create the perfect outcome. The law does not err, nor does it forget, it works with precision, and in its precision lies the certainty of victory for the one who trusts it. Life as a game is not meant to be played in half-awareness, stumbling and guessing. It is meant to be played with knowledge of the rules, with conscious moves, with the certainty that the law is always for man and never against him. The universe is not hostile, it is perfectly ordered, perfectly balanced, perfectly responsive to the inner state of man. The one who aligns with divine law finds that doors swing open where once there were walls, that obstacles dissolve where once there were mountains, and that harmony reigns where once there was discord. For the law cannot fail, and the game cannot be lost when played according to its rule. The spoken word creates reality, and it does so with a power that man seldom realizes. Every word uttered carries within it a seed, and that seed, once planted, takes root in the fertile soil of the unseen and springs forth into form. Words are not idle, nor are they forgotten once spoken. They are living forces, charged with the energy of belief and expectation, moving forth to build the circumstances and experiences that will later be encountered. When man understands this, he becomes cautious with his speech, guarding it as one would guard precious treasure, for he knows that careless words bring careless results, while words of faith and power bring forth good measure, pressed down and running over. The world one sees about him is nothing but the harvest of yesterday's words. If discord is present, it is because words of discord were spoken. If harmony surrounds, it is because words of peace and blessing were declared. The spoken word is the bridge between thought and manifestation. A thought left unspoken is like a seed unplanted, but once clothed in speech, it is released into the law, and the law, being impartial, must bring it forth. Thus, man speaks his world into existence, often without realizing that the complaints, fears, and careless expressions he utters daily are weaving the very fabric of his tomorrows. To speak is to decree, and to decree is to create. The law accepts every word as a command, without judgment, without hesitation. To say, I am always unlucky, is to decree misfortune. To say, I never have enough, is to decree lack. To declare, things never work out for me, is to invite continual failure. These are not merely expressions of passing moods, they are orders given to the unseen forces that shape the visible world. The universe does not discern whether the command was wise or foolish, it simply fulfills it with exactness. Therefore, every word is an act of creation, and the speaker must learn to choose words that align with the good he seeks, rather than the fears he wishes to escape. The spoken word is also magnetic, for it carries vibration. Words of fear vibrate at a frequency that draws more fearsome conditions. Words of love and faith vibrate at a frequency that draws harmony and abundance. Every word once spoken goes forth to find its likeness, to gather to itself situations and people that match its tone. Thus, the tongue holds the power of life and death, for with it man calls forth either blessing or curse. It is not outer conditions that determine man's fate, but his inner state expressed through words. A mouth filled with complaint can never build a life of joy, while a mouth filled with praise can never be without blessings. The mastery of the spoken word begins with recognition. One must first become conscious of how he speaks, for many speak in ignorance, sowing weeds while desiring flowers. They say, I am sick, yet wish for health. They declare, I am poor, yet hope for abundance. They murmur, nothing ever changes, yet long for transformation. The law takes them at their word, and their very speech holds them bound to the chains they despise. But the moment one awakens and begins to speak words of truth, affirming the good already prepared for him, the tide begins to turn. He learns to say, I am strong, even if weakness is felt. He declares, I am supplied, even if lack is seen. He affirms, everything works together for my good, even when appearances seem otherwise. Such words are seeds of power, and they must by law bring forth after their kind. The word is a sword, and it cuts both ways. Spoken negatively, it binds and limits; spoken positively, it frees and expands. One careless declaration may delay the arrival of good, for the law is swift to act. A moment of idle speech can plant seeds that take years to uproot. Therefore, discipline of the tongue is essential for victory in life. Silence is better than destructive speech, for silence sows nothing, while destructive words sow thorns. Yet words of blessing and affirmation are greater still, for they not only refrain from harm, but actively create good. Every utterance should be measured against the standard of truth, for if it does not build, it destroys, and if it does not bless, it curses. The spoken word is also creative beyond the personal. It influences not only the life of the speaker, but also the lives of those who hear it. To speak words of encouragement is to lift another into strength. To speak words of fear is to plant fear in another's garden. Words spoken to children shape their futures, for the young heart accepts speech without resistance. To declare over a child, "You will never succeed," is to bind that child with cords of limitation. To affirm, "You are gifted and blessed," is to set that child upon a path of victory. Thus, man carries great responsibility in his speech. For with his tongue, he not only builds his own world, but also contributes to the worlds of those around him. There is also the spoken word of prayer and affirmation. To pray is not to beg but to declare. True prayer is a fearless statement of what is already true in spirit, clothed in words and spoken into form. The prayer that begs and doubts is weak, for it affirms lack even while asking for supply. But the prayer that affirms, "It is done, it is finished, my good now appears," is strong, for it speaks from the position of faith, and faith is the law's command. Affirmations, spoken aloud with conviction, charge the atmosphere with the reality desired. The words go forth, unseen yet unfailing, and gather the substance that forms the visible. The spoken word creates reality not once, but continually, for speech is a constant stream. Every day is filled with utterances, and each utterance builds. Therefore, the wise player of life does not speak carelessly, does not jest with failure, does not repeat words of fear that others proclaim. He chooses his speech as carefully as one chooses precious jewels, for he knows that each word is a gem with power to shine or to shatter. He fills his mouth with truth, with life, with blessing, until his world reflects the abundance of the words he has planted. Faith unlocks unseen supply, for faith is the key that opens doors which appear closed, paths which appear blocked, and resources which appear absent. Supply is never truly absent. It exists in the invisible, waiting to be called forth. Man's difficulty lies not in the lack of supply, but in his lack of faith to perceive and claim it. Faith does not question, it does not waver, it does not calculate according to appearances. Faith declares, "It is mine now," and by that fearless decree, the law is set into motion to bring forth the manifestation. Every form of visible abundance begins first in the unseen. Money, opportunities, ideas, health, and success all originate in the invisible substance before clothing themselves in form. Man who walks by sight only believes in what he sees and thus limits himself. But man who walks by faith sees beyond the visible and calls forth what is not yet expressed. Faith does not depend on evidence, for it is itself the evidence of things unseen. When faith speaks, the unseen responds, for it is the language understood by the law. Doubt, on the other hand, shuts the door to supply, for it affirms lack and affirms limitation. Fear says, "It cannot be," but faith says, "It is already accomplished." Supply is drawn to faith as surely as iron is drawn to the magnet. The man of faith never needs to force, never needs to struggle, for his certainty creates the channel through which supply flows. When he declares his good fearlessly, without wavering, supply must come, for the law cannot deny the one who believes. The one who doubts and hesitates blocks his own good, for he stands in two minds, affirming abundance with his lips but denying it with his heart. Faith is singleness of vision, and with that singleness comes power. Faith operates in the present, not in the future. To say, "Someday I will have," is to place supply afar off, always beyond reach. Faith says, "I have it now." And by claiming it now, it brings the future into the present. The law responds to the now, for spirit knows only the eternal present. Every delay is created by man's postponement in his thought, his waiting for a sign before he believes. But the one who dares to believe without a sign, who stands upon the invisible word and declares it true, finds that signs and evidences rush in to support him. The supply was always there, waiting for recognition, and faith is that recognition. The unseen supply is limitless. There is no scarcity in spirit, no lack in the divine storehouse. Scarcity is a fabrication of man's thought, born of fear and ignorance. Just as the sun shines without ceasing and never fears to exhaust itself, so too does supply flow endlessly to those who open themselves in faith. One does not need to calculate how it will come or through what channel, for faith leaves the method to the divine intelligence that orders all things perfectly. To demand the how is to doubt, to declare the what is to trust. Faith states the end and the law arranges the means. Faith is not passive, it is active, vibrant, and commanding. To sit in resignation, saying, "If it is meant to be, it will come," is not faith but doubt disguised as humility. Faith claims boldly, without hesitation, for it knows its authority. It does not beg or plead, for to beg is to confess lack. Faith demands, for it knows that demand backed by fearless certainty cannot be refused. The word spoken in faith is a decree, and decrees are laws to the unseen. That which is mine by divine right comes to me now, is a statement of faith that calls forth supply with irresistible force. Faith also removes fear, for fear is the great thief of supply. Fear binds the channels, closes the doors, and blinds the eyes. The man who fears poverty attracts it. The man who fears loss invites it. The man who fears failure prepares the way for it. Fear rehearses disaster, while faith rehearses triumph. Fear imagines the empty purse, while faith sees the overflowing storehouse. To dwell in fear is to entertain lack, but to dwell in faith is to entertain abundance. As a host cannot serve two masters, man must choose whether to entertain fear or faith, and that choice determines the supply that flows into his life. Faith is not shaken by appearances. Appearances may shout lack, may seem to prove the absence of good, yet faith is unmoved. Faith looks at the barren field and declares it rich with harvest. Faith looks at the closed door and declares it open. Faith looks at the empty hand and declares it full. The law responds not to appearances, but to the words spoken in faith, and in due time the appearance changes to match the declaration. Appearances are but shadows, fleeting and powerless, but faith is substance, enduring and creative. Faith also brings ideas, and ideas are the true currency of supply. When man opens in faith, he becomes receptive to the divine intelligence that whispers solutions, opportunities, and directions. These ideas, once acted upon, bring forth visible wealth and success. Without faith, man shuts off inspiration, relying only on his limited reasoning. With faith, man taps into the infinite reservoir where every answer already exists. One idea received in faith can unlock doors that years of labor could not open. Faith not only calls forth material supply, but also the invisible supply of wisdom, courage, and vision. The man of faith lives as though his good were already his. He speaks as though it were already accomplished. He acts as though it were already present. He gives thanks as though it were already received. This living in the end is the mark of true faith. Gratitude spoken in advance is the strongest affirmation, for it assumes the reality of what is not yet seen. "I thank thee that it is done," is the language of faith, and such gratitude hastens the manifestation. The doubter waits to see before he thanks. The man of faith thanks before he sees, and by thanking he sees. Love fulfills the law and dissolves resistance, for love is the highest vibration and the strongest power. Where fear divides and repels, love unites and attracts. Fear closes doors, builds barriers, and holds man apart from his good, but love throws open the gates and sweeps away every obstacle. Love is the secret solvent that melts hardness, breaks down opposition, and restores harmony where discord seemed fixed. It is not a weak or sentimental thing, but a mighty force, creative and irresistible, for it is the very essence of divine law. When man aligns himself with love, he finds that every crooked place is made straight, every wall is turned into a door, and every difficulty dissolves like mist before the rising sun. To live without love is to live in bondage, for resentment binds, criticism binds, condemnation binds. These are chains forged by the tongue and heart, and they weigh heavily upon the life of the one who carries them. Love, however, cuts through these chains, for it releases and forgives. The one who forgives is the one who sets himself free, for while hatred may seem to hold the other in bondage, it is the hater who is imprisoned by it. To bless where one has been cursed, to forgive where one has been wronged, is to rise above the law of retaliation and to enter into the law of harmony. Love is the fulfilling of that law, for when love is spoken, thought, and acted upon, no debt remains to be paid, no discord remains to be balanced. Love is also the great attractor. What man loves, he draws to himself. Love of beauty draws beauty. Love of abundance draws supply. Love of joy draws joy. But man must beware, for misplaced love also draws its likeness. Love of fear draws fearful things, love of trouble draws troubled conditions. Therefore, true love must be directed toward the divine good, the eternal truth, the highest pattern. To say, I love good, I love peace, I love abundance, is to open wide the gates through which these very things pour. Love is a magnet, and what is loved is never kept afar. It comes swiftly and certainly, for the law cannot withhold from love. In every relationship, love is the harmonizer. Strife, quarrel, and misunderstanding dissolve before the presence of true love. To insist on one's own way is to resist, and resistance breeds more resistance. But to yield in love is not weakness, it is strength. Love sees the other not as an adversary but as another self, another expression of the same divine life. To speak in love, even when provoked, is to disarm opposition. To act in love, even when wronged, is to restore balance. Love is the oil that removes the friction of human contact, the balm that heals wounds, the force that binds together what would otherwise be broken apart. Love is fearless. Fear doubts, fears withholds, fears clings, fears loses. Love trusts, loves gives, loves releases, loves multiplies. Fear says, if I give I will have less, but love says, as I give, I receive more. Fear says, I must protect myself from harm, but love says, nothing can harm me, for I am one with good. Fear builds walls. Love builds bridges. Fear tightens the hand, love opens it. The one who walks in love cannot be harmed, for love is invincible. It clothes the one who possesses it with protection, for nothing can withstand its vibration. Perfect love casts out fear, and where there is no fear, there is no defeat. Love speaks blessings. To speak ill of another is to sow seeds of discord that must return to the sower. To speak blessing is to sow harmony that returns multiplied. The tongue that speaks only in love cannot be ensnared by its own words, for words of love build and uplift. Even an enemy can be transformed when love is spoken. To say, I bless you, I release you, I see you in the harmony of good, is to remove every tie of resentment and to establish freedom. Love does not mean indulgence or agreement with error, but it sees beyond error to the truth, and by holding to the truth, it dissolves the error. Love is also the great liberator in the material world. Many hold tightly to possessions, fearing loss, and by that fear they bind themselves to lack. But the one who loves release, who gives freely, who sees money and possessions as channels of good rather than objects to cling to, finds that his supply is ever renewed. Love opens the channels through which abundance flows. To love prosperity is to attract it, to love giving is to invite receiving. The miser shuts his own door, but the generous heart holds its gates wide, and the flood of supply rushes in. Love of giving is the surest sign of prosperity, for only the one who knows abundance within can pour it forth without fear. Love fulfills the law in health as well as wealth. Fear of disease invites disease, resentment poisons the body, anger disturbs the nerves. But love soothes, heals, and restores. Love of life calls forth vitality, love of health calls forth strength. Love of harmony creates balance in every cell. To bless one's own body with words of love is to invite it to function perfectly. To resent one's body, to curse its weaknesses, is to plant seeds of discord in the very temple of life. Love your body, bless it, thank it, and it will respond with strength. Love yourself as an expression of divine perfection, and that perfection will manifest more and more in form. Love is also intuition's guide. The voice within speaks most clearly when the heart is filled with love, for love dissolves fear and quiets confusion. Fear clouds the inner ear, distorts guidance, and creates doubt. Love makes the path plain, for it aligns the heart with the higher wisdom that always leads aright. To follow intuition is to follow love's whisper, and love never misleads. When in doubt, ask, what would love say? What would love do? And the answer will always align with truth, for love cannot err. Love is harmony with divine order. Every law of spirit is fulfilled in love, for love contains them all. To walk in love is to walk in alignment with the highest law, the law that governs the universe itself. Resistance ceases, struggle ends, and the flow of good becomes natural and effortless. Where love reigns, there is no separation between man and his good, for love unites all things into one. Intuition is the guiding voice of spirit, the inner compass that speaks with quiet certainty, directing man upon the path of safety, supply, and perfect expression. It does not argue. It does not explain. It does not plead. It simply declares in stillness what must be done. Often it is dismissed as a passing thought or imagination, yet those who learn to recognize it know it as the infallible voice of divine wisdom. Reason calculates, weighs evidence, and is limited by what the outer senses reveal, but intuition sees beyond the seen, into the realm where all things are already accomplished. It is the direct whisper of spirit into the heart of man, and when obeyed without hesitation, it never leads astray. Many wander in confusion because they lean solely upon their reasoning mind. They strive to work out their problems by human calculation, considering every possibility, fearing every outcome, yet they end in greater perplexity. The reasoning mind can only rearrange facts already known, but intuition brings fresh truth from the infinite. It provides answers that the intellect cannot devise, solutions that appear impossible by outer logic but prove perfect when followed. A step taken in obedience to intuition often unlocks doors that years of labor could not open, for it places man in alignment with divine order. Intuition is immediate and complete. Where reason proceeds step by step, intuition sees the whole at once. It is like a flash of light in darkness, illuminating the path without the need of lantern or map. One may stand at a crossroads, uncertain which way to go, but in silence hears the inner voice say, "This is the way, walk in it." To ignore such guidance is to invite delay, but to follow it with trust is to discover that the road chosen leads directly to the desired good. Even when appearances suggest the contrary, intuition proves itself in the end, for it draws from a wisdom that cannot err. Intuition often speaks in gentleness, so quietly that the clamor of fear and doubt can drown it out. The fearful heart cannot hear clearly, for its inner ear is filled with the noise of worry. But the heart stilled in trust becomes receptive, and in that stillness intuition makes itself known. It may come as a sudden knowing, a phrase that repeats in the mind, a picture flashed before the inner eye, or a strong pull toward a certain action. However it comes, it carries with it a feeling of certainty, a peace that defies questioning. That peace is the seal of truth, and those who learn to heed it walk securely, no matter how uncertain the outer conditions appear. The voice of intuition never speaks of fear, never threatens, never condemns. Its tone is always calm, clear, and direct. Fear may masquerade as intuition, shouting warnings of disaster, but true intuition is never anxious. It may urge swift action, yet it does so with assurance rather than panic. To test whether a voice is intuition or fear, one need only observe its effect upon the spirit. If it brings confusion and unrest, it is not intuition. If it brings clarity and quiet certainty, it is the divine guide. Intuition also governs timing. Many failures are not the result of wrong actions, but of right actions taken at the wrong time. Reason pushes and hurries, but intuition knows when to move and when to wait. To act too soon may bring resistance. To delay too long may bring loss. But intuition always knows the perfect moment. The one who listens finds himself in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, receiving the right opportunities. This is often called coincidence by those who do not understand, but it is the precise outworking of intuition followed. Supply is often unlocked by intuition. The reasoning mind may calculate how money should come, from which channel, by what means, yet the supply seems delayed. But intuition may whisper to take a step in a direction that appears unrelated to money, and through that step the channel opens. One may feel guided to visit a place, to speak to a certain person, to begin a certain task, and through that obedience, supply flows in unexpected ways. The divine intelligence knows infinite ways to bring abundance, and intuition is its messenger. The one who trusts this inner guidance never lacks, for he follows the path where provision is already prepared. Intuition is also the guide in relationships. Reason may judge by appearances, weighing words and actions, but intuition sees the heart. It may warn against trusting one who outwardly seems kind, or it may assure of the goodness of one who appears rough. Many heartbreaks and betrayals would be avoided if intuition were followed rather than appearances. Intuition also guides in speech, giving the right word at the right time. A phrase spoken in obedience to that inner prompting may heal a wound, reconcile a quarrel, or open a door of opportunity. The mind may hesitate, but intuition speaks swiftly, and obedience brings results beyond expectation. Intuition is cultivated by silence and trust. In the noise of constant thought and speech, its voice is drowned out, but in stillness it grows clear. The one who daily makes room for quiet communion becomes increasingly aware of the divine guidance within. Each time intuition is obeyed, its voice grows stronger. Each time it is ignored, it grows fainter. Trust also strengthens it, for doubt clouds perception. To say, "I trust my inner guide, I know it speaks truly," is to open the channel wider. The law responds to such trust, and intuition flows freely. The guiding voice of spirit is never absent. Even when man believes himself lost, intuition is present, whispering the next step. It does not reveal the entire journey at once, but only the step that must be taken now. Faith and obedience to that step lead to the next. And so the path unfolds, often in ways the reasoning mind could never have imagined. Intuition does not flatter the ego nor satisfy curiosity. It directs for the sake of harmony, safety, and perfect good. To live by intuition is to live in alignment with divine order. For it is the law's own voice, speaking within the heart of man.